Chapter 672. A low-grade brothel? What an ugly way to put it. This place is extremely high class, so don't use such vulgar words to describe it. Others will laugh at you, said Fong Chang hastily. Then what is this place? Asked Long Chin. It's a place for emotions to connect with emotions, for flesh to connect with flesh, for liquid to connect with liquid, said Chai Liehua with a perverted expression. Long Chen had never expected that these two grand junior masters would do such things. He couldn't help being speechless. What was so high class about this place? Long San, this expression of yours is wrong. You know that we're all youngsters. We need to occasionally release our fire. That way we'll be able to relax. If we find women outside, we always have to have worries and it's extremely troublesome. But this place is much better. We spend money, they make money. Both sides are willing, and most importantly, Chai Liehua suddenly whispered, most importantly in terms of technique, they are true experts. They can make you feel as though you've ascended to the heavens. We, alchemists, often play with fire. It's easy for that to cause our own fire to flare. Plus, the last few days have been extremely tense. We've already set things up for the others. Today, we especially set up a peerless beauty for you. It's said that she's still a virgin. What ghost are you trying to trick? Tell me, how is a virgin supposed to have any technique? Long Chen was speechless. Why would I trick you? She really is a virgin. She hasn't accepted any guests yet, so I won't say anything about her technique. But her beauty, that body, just looking at it is enough to infatuate a person's soul. Long San, let me tell you, don't you dare try any nonsense with me. Your big bro spent a huge sum of money to set this up for you, warned Fong Chang. This newcomer was truly beautiful. She was the new top beauty of this place. The old top beauty had already been bought by the Hua family. However, the price for this newcomer's first time was truly beyond reason. Even Fong Chang was incredibly pained by the price. If it hadn't been for enticing Long Chen, he wouldn't have been willing. Of course, it's also been a long time since we vented. We've been too busy recently. We need to relax. This way, Brother San will also have a companion, encouraged Fong Chang. Long Chen was speechless. He had Meng Qi, Tang Wan'er and Chu Yao. Which one of them wasn't as beautiful as a fairy? Why would he come to such a place to waste his money? But then looking at their happy and excited expressions, Long Chen could only thicken his skin and enter with them. His head was rapidly working at a way to extricate himself. Aya, big brother Fong Chang, you've come? I've missed you. As soon as they entered, a very well-rounded woman greeted them and intimately wrapped her arms around Fong Chang's elbow. Seeing Fong Chang exchange flirting glances with her, Long Chen immediately knew she was Fong Chang's friend. She should have long since received news of their coming and been waiting. The only thing that made Long Chen flabbergasted was that this woman's aura was extremely powerful. She was actually a Xiantian expert. What was going on? Someone actually cultivated so hard to reach the Xiantian realm just to come here. Hee, Sister Tao Hong, a day apart from you feels like 3 years. Your big brother has also missed you. Fong Chang was like a prodigal son, stealthily pinching her curves. Seeing him act that way, Long Chen felt that Fong Chang's words had been off. It should be, a day without sex is like parting for 3 years. Tao Hong, hurry and call out Lady Shui Hua for Junior Master Chai. And don't forget to set up a beautiful lady for this brother of mine. Let's eat first. Lady Shui Hua? As in a fickle woman? As expected, every profession had its own elites. Long Chen had at least gained experience into the world. Following Fong Chang upstairs, he saw an extremely expansive hall, and it was not a private room. Seeing Long Chen's shock, Chai Liehua laughed. Hee, brother, now still isn't time for that. The ladies are still preparing themselves. For now, let's just eat, drink, and enjoy the scenery. The three of them found seats near a window. They saw a beautiful landscape of lakes and mountains. The scenery was extremely pleasant. Long Chen narrowed his eyes slightly. He saw a certain scene that was familiar. He suddenly recalled that he had also been able to see this scenery from Xiao Chui's home. But now the view was different. Sweeping his gaze around, he saw Xiao Chui's old home. However, it had been transformed into a new manor. In fact, a large swath of territory around it had been rebuilt with beautiful and elegant pavilions. "Brother Fong, what's going on over there?" Long Chen pointed. "That place? Have you forgotten? That's where we first met each other. That bastard Huo Wufang still decided to seize that place and built a massive bastard nest for himself to take a concubine," said Fong Chang. "He wants to take a concubine? And with this much ceremony?" asked Long Chen. "There has to be at least this much ceremony. The concubine he's marrying is a genius from an ancient family. It seems to be someone from Biluo Mountain's Hua family. Apparently, they have some status, but I'm not sure about the details," said Fong Chang. "Biluo Mountain's Hua family? Wasn't that Hua Biluo's family?" Suddenly thinking of a possibility, killing intent surfaced within his eyes. "What is it, Long San?" asked Fong Chang upon seeing the change in him. "Big bros, you once mentioned Long Chen. Later I asked around and I heard that Huo Wufang suffered a great deal because of this person. Of course, he really was a vicious person. Unfortunately, he didn't just kill Huo Wufang, or we'd have much more peace," said Chai Liehua. Long Chen nodded. "I've heard a bit about what happened in the Jiuli's secret realm. I heard that someone called Hua Biluo helped Long Chen to face the righteous and corrupt paths, which was clearly going against Huo Wufang. Now, it's said that Long Chen has already fallen. Huo Wufang has only just recovered, but he's gone to Biluo Mountain's Hua family to take a concubine. Do you think?" Fong Chang slapped himself in the leg. "That's right. Now that you mention it, I heard that the Hua family seems to have run over to the Hua family several times. Now I understand. This Huo Wufang is definitely trying to release his anger on other people. Long Chen's dead and the others are being protected by the Xiantian Dao sect. They can't spread their hands that far. Right now, the only one they can target is Hua Biluo. As long as they apply some pressure on the Hua family, then with an ancient family's character, they probably wouldn't offend the ones in charge of selling pills for the pill tower, especially not for some chosen-level disciple. That bastard's taking Hua Biluo as a concubine just to torment her. What an absolutely despicable man. Unable to do anything to Long Chen, he actually released his fury on his friends. Such idiots are the most contemptuous." Chai Liehua suddenly said, "I remember now. In the Jiuli's secret realm, Huo Wufang actually used the threat of taking her as a concubine. But Hua Biluo still took action. So he's getting revenge." Long Chen smiled slightly. But that smile contained a touch of iciness. Normally, when people targeted Long Chen, there was still room for discussion. But if they dared to target the people by his side, that would be enmity of no rest until death. "Huo Wufang, if I don't play you to death this time, then I won't be Long Chen." At this time, a group of 3 women, including Tao Hong, walked over. Fong Chang and Chai Liehua were their old clients, and they naturally didn't want to lose their business. One of them walked over and sat beside Long Chen, gently saying, "Master Long San, let me pour you some wine." This woman was not bad, and she was very cute. Even if she was acting, the fact that she could bring her acting to this level was definitely not easy. "How old are you?" Long Chen smiled. In any case, the money had been spent. Teasing her would be fine, and then the money wouldn't be wasted. 18, she answered bashfully. "Really? How coincidental. I'm also 18. "Master Long, you really are a tease," she cried bashfully, her face red. Profound, truly profound. This acting ability has also reached a divine level. For her acting skills to be so profound, then her bed skills. It's no wonder Fong Chang and Chai Liehua would rather come here than take a concubine. People with status like them would normally have to find appropriate women with their own status to marry. For them, their women would have to be alchemists with pure bloodlines. That was to have the finest offspring possible. It was forbidden for them to copulate with just any beautiful woman they met. If those women weren't alchemists, then their offspring's talent would be extremely lacking, and it would affect the family traditions. If they really did end up having a child, It would normally be directly executed. This was extremely harsh. Although Fang Chang and Chai Liehua were noble heirs, they weren't bad people. They would rather come here than take concubines like that. That made Long Chen have a favorable opinion of them. The three of them ate and drank with the three women accompanying them. Even after several drinks had entered her stomach, that woman's acting was still so perfect. A naughty smile suddenly appeared on Long Chen's face. They really thought he was inexperienced. The number of men this woman had sated was even greater than the members of his legion. By acting as if she had such a pure and innocent heart, she was looking down on him. Lady Jinjin, can I ask you a personal question? After talking this long, Long Chen had finally learned her name. Long Chen's face already had a constant naughty feel to it. Now that he smiled, it seemed naughtier than ever. Even the experienced Jinjin felt some nervousness. She bashfully said, "Please ask, Master Long. But don't make it too embarrassing for me." Long Chen waved his hand. "How could I do something like that? I, Long San, am a pure person. I just want to ask, do you know how to use a carrot?" Fang Chang and Chai Liehua were dumbfounded. They had definitely been tricked. They had thought Long San was a good person, but now they realized he was practically a brute. A lost expression appeared on Jinjin's face. "I don't." "What about a cucumber?" "No." "What about an eggplant?" "No." "What about a steamed bun?" "Even a steamed bun can be used." As soon as she said this, Jinjin tightly covered her mouth. But it was too late. Her bashfulness became a rage, and she hit Long Chen. "Master Long, you really are evil." Chai Liehua and Fang Chang were already rolling on the floor in laughter. Even Tao Hong and Shui Hua were laughing, huge waves appearing on their chests. Such a thing can make you laugh so hard? Be careful of your laughter turning to sorrow. Chapter 673. Long Chen turned and saw 5 people walk in. What startled Long Chen was that these people were all wearing red robes. That red was the kind of red that looked like blood. An image of a fierce fiend was embroidered on their chests. Corrupt Path. Long Chen immediately recalled that this was Pilyang Prefecture, and it was considered neutral territory. As long as they didn't intentionally cause trouble for the other, the righteous and corrupt paths wouldn't fight here. But the curious thing was that out of these 5 people, 2 of them had the aura of the heavenly Taos around them. There were actually 2 celestials. The words just now had come from one of those celestials. He was clearly trying to find trouble for the 3 of them. Without even thinking, it was obvious these people were participating in the ceremony of Huo Wufang marrying his concubine. Today was the marriage ceremony, and there would be a huge feast. This was to tell certain people it was time to send some gifts. As for these people, considering how arrogant they were acting, they definitely had received the Hua family's support and had intentionally come here to cause trouble for them. Although the Fang and Chai families were part of the pill tower, the selling of pills was still controlled by the Hua family. Their 2 families had no direct contact with the buyers, which was why these corrupt experts dared to do this. To put it simply, they were simply currying favor with the Hua family. Fang Chang and Chai Liehua were just about to furiously retort when Long Chen stood up with a faint smile and walked over. "Who was it that just farted?" asked Long Chen, looking as if someone needed a spanking. One of the celestials glanced at Long Chen and disdainfully said, "Who do you think you are? Fuck off dash." Before he could say more, Long Chen's hand viciously slapped across his face. This time Long Chen hadn't held back at all. These people weren't alchemists, so their physical bodies were strong enough that he didn't have any misgivings. Boom. An explosive sound shook everyone's eardrums. It was something possible to hear within several miles. Let alone the fact that he hadn't had any defenses up, even if he had guarded at such a distance, he still wouldn't have been able to dodge. He was like a shooting star, piercing through the window and flying into the distance. Finally, the celestial ended up flying dozens of miles away, and he crashed into Huo Wufang's newly constructed manor. The collision directly destroyed the entire building. Chai Liehua and Fang Chang were shocked. Just what kind of monster was Long San? If he possessed such terrifying strength, was he even an alchemist? You dash. The other celestial was the first to recover from his shock, and he smashed his fist at Long Chen. But just as he punched, Long Chen had already slapped him across the face. He staggered back, and his punch ended up striking one of his own people. That person let out a scream as his bones broke. The celestial hadn't even realized what had happened when Long Chen once more slapped him. This time he hit him in the other direction and with greater power. He spun through the air. He had barely stabilized himself when he saw a sinister face winking at him. He was horrified. Having been slapped twice, he knew he had run into an expert. He was just about to retreat to widen the distance before attacking. Where do you think you're going? Get back here. He had only just moved when he felt two hands grab his hair. Long Chen pulled, at the same time raising his knee, smashing it against the corrupt celestial's high and lofty nose. The sound of bones breaking rang out throughout the hall. Chai Liehua and Fang Chang both winced. They all sympathized with this pain. The nose was an extremely weak spot. It was where countless nerves connected. After this attack, the celestial's face had caved in. Fuck, 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 who let you be a dog? With each word, Long Chen would punctuate it by slamming his knee into the celestial's nose again. The celestial's blood, snot, and tears were flowing down. Get lost. With a furious roar, he struggled free. But as a result, because of Long Chen's hold on his hair, a large swath of his scalp was torn off. He endured the pain to escape. His head was covered with blood, and he was just about to attack when a silent kick struck him in the crotch. For a moment, everyone was silent. The only sound was the sound of balls breaking. That sound resounded heavily through the air. Fang Chang and Chai Liehua involuntarily clenched their legs, trying to not let their balls feel distressed. The celestial held his lower parts. He slowly knelt on the ground and then collapsed. This attack had hit his most vital part, and he was in so much pain that he hovered between life and death. Suddenly, Long Chen directly slapped the two other corrupt experts who were still stunned by the scene before them. He sent them flying on the same path as the first celestial, and they smashed into Huo Wufang's newly destroyed manor. As for the final corrupt member who had been struck half dead by the first celestial accidentally, Long Chen was too lazy to bother him. He arrived in front of the unconscious celestial and kicked him a few times. Ah! The unconscious celestial immediately let out miserable shrieks, but a kick to his jaw cut off that sound. Long Chen dragged that person like a dead dog, dropping him in front of the table and then using him as a chair. But this chair was a bit uneven, so he pushed down a bit. This push caused the celestial's entire body to twitch, and froth came out of his mouth. Seeing this scene, the three women were pale as paper, unable to make a sound. They were also Xiantian experts. Although they were unable to sense this person's heavenly Tao energy, they sensed a terrifying pressure from him. But this terrifying figure had been beaten into a dead dog-like state by Long Chen, and was then used as a chair. They had never seen such a terrifying fiend. Brother Fang, Brother Chai, let's continue drinking. Long Chen raised his cup toward the two stupefied fellows. Only now did they recover from their shock and drink with him. Chai Liehua asked, Long San, how are you so strong? Hee, I won't hide anything from my two big bros. I, Long San, have had a life full of trouble and misfortune. My road was full of bumps, and I'm always surrounded by all kinds of brutes. If I didn't kill them, they would kill me. I also had no one to help me. So if I wanted to live, I had to make myself more vicious, and so I trained a body of brute strength. To tell the truth, anyone who sees me fight would never believe that I know alchemy, laughed Long Chen. Fang Chang and Chai Liehua were speechless. That last statement was too true. Even having personally seen him refine pills, they could barely believe he was an alchemist now. Fang Chang said, Long San, you really are a monster. You know alchemy and you know martial arts. Dual martial pill cultivation is a path of no return, but you have actually reached this level. That really is amazing. However, this fellow is a celestial. The only reason you managed to get an advantage over him was because he didn't have time to use the cry of the heavenly Taos. In the future, you have to be careful. Who cares if he is a celestial? As long as it's someone Huo Wufang sent to target you two big bros, I'll go all out against them. Fuck, if they want to bully you, they'll have to do it over my corpse. Long Chen patted himself on the chest. Chai Liehua and Fang Chang were incredibly moved, their eyes almost filling up with tears. This Long San was so loyal. You bastard Long San, hand him over. Suddenly, a furious roar came from outside. They looked outside to see Huo Wufang furiously glaring at them. As expected, these people were sent by you as a provocation. Your person is in my hands, so if you want him, come fight over him. After saying that, Long Chen pulled the celestial out from under him. Carrying him by his foot, he shook him outside the window a few times. The celestial was completely unconscious and simply dangled like a corpse. The other celestial that Long Chen had sent flying was standing beside Huo Wufang. Seeing this, he wanted to immediately charge up and tear Long Chen to pieces. Hey, little fellow, what are you staring at me for? You still refuse to obey, right? Raged Long Chen. He raised the unconscious celestial out of the window and slapped him in the face a dozen times, causing his face to swell. He then disdainfully pointed at the celestial on the ground. Little fellow, do you want to keep looking at me like that? The celestial had practically gone insane from rage. He was just about to charge forward when Huo Wufang stopped him. This isn't a good place to fight. It's too small, and Long San's body is extremely powerful. If you don't use your full strength, you won't be able to subdue him. Furthermore, he also has Chai Liehua and Fang Chang beside him, and you can't injure them. We can't rush this matter recklessly. After all, this was the Treasure Tower region. It was filled with buildings and people. If they fought here, there would be many casualties. The Pill Emperor competition was currently being held, and if the higher-ups were to learn of this, they would all be doomed. Long San, what do you want to release him? Could it be that you're a petty little person who only knows how to threaten others to raise your status? If that's the case, then I really will have to look down on you, said Huo Wufang. His answer was 16 slaps in the face. Of course, the face that was being slapped was the unconscious celestial. His face once more swelled, looking like a balloon that might burst at any moment. Idiot, do you think I'm someone scared by insults? Why don't you keep trying such a childish move? Retorted Long Chen disdainfully. Brother, if this continues, senior apprentice brother Yaoqi will be killed, said the celestial. Shut up. Aren't I trying to think of something right now? This Long San is someone unmoved by force or persuasion, raged Huo Wufang. He hated when others pushed him and already had a stomach full of fury. He had wanted them to bully Long San, perhaps by humiliating him or beating him. That would have been a blow to the Fang and Chai families' morale. But as a result, this matter had turned to its current state. He was already incredibly furious. Long San, what do you want? Shouted Huo Wufang. I can release him if you want. I just want one thing. If you can bring it out, I'll immediately release him. A certain thought popped into Long Chen's head. Chapter 674. I want a strand of heavenly star dragon saliva grass. As long as you can take that out, I'll immediately release this person, said Long Chen. In the medicinal ingredient repository, Long Chen had clearly seen a spot for the heavenly star dragon saliva grass. But that space had been empty. It was later when he asked around that he learned the pill tower had had this ingredient half a year ago. But it had been taken away by the Hua family. It was unknown whether or not the Hua family still had any left, but Long Chen wanted to try it. Fine, I'll get someone to bring it immediately. Huo Wufang took out a badge and whispered a few things to one of his subordinates. That person immediately rushed off. Fuck, the Hua family really is intolerable. Last time, they took all 10 strands of the heavenly star dragon saliva grass with the excuse that another pill tower urgently needed it. But it was all a lie. Not only do they bribe others with pills, but they even pull tricks with medicinal ingredients. If it wasn't for Long San, we still wouldn't know we had been deceived. Raged Chai Liehua. He suddenly recalled that the Hua family would often find excuses to take ingredients from the storage house. The Chai family was only in charge of keeping track, and everything always had to be accounted for. But he hadn't expected the Hua family would actually dare do something like this. Now Long Chen had exposed them. These fellows had definitely colluded with the ones in charge of accounting, or they wouldn't dare to be so obviously corrupt. Long San, why would you want a heavenly star dragon saliva grass? Although it's precious, Pill Valley will send us a bit to make up for what we used. Why didn't you ask for something else? Their Hua family has the money, said Chai Liehua. He had no idea that this heavenly star dragon saliva grass was more precious than anything else to Long Chen. He wouldn't exchange it for any other treasure. I just made something up. I figured that if it wasn't in the medicinal ingredient repository, they wouldn't have it either. I was trying to make things hard on them. Who would have thought that they actually had it? And now that I've already said it, I can't just change my demands, or that would make me lose face, explained Long Chen perfectly. True. Tisich, we really let this bastard off easy, said Fong Chong hatefully. He was unhappy at not being able to give Huo Wufang a vicious blow this time. Less than an incense stick's worth of time later, the person Huo Wufang had sent had returned. There was a jade case in his hand with the width of a palm and 2 feet long. Huo Wufang directly threw the case to Long Chen. You have your demand. Now release him. Long Chen didn't need to open the case. With just his divine sense, he could see something similar to a sword lily, and there were 7 drop-like fruits on it. This was definitely the heavenly star dragon saliva grass. Even with his calm, having obtained this, his heart involuntarily pounded. His ultimate goal in coming to the Pill Tower had been achieved. With this, he could condense the Enlightenment Palace star. With 4 stars, who would be able to fight against him? Don't worry, I'm not someone untrustworthy. Long Chen brought the heavenly star dragon saliva grass into the primal chaos space and then tossed the celestial out. The corrupt experts hastily went to receive him, and they gave him a healing pill. As soon as that person woke up, he let out a heaven-shaking roar and a terrifying pressure erupted. Senior apprentice brother Yaoqi, calm down. Now isn't the time to fight. One of the corrupt experts hastily held him back. Long San, just wait, I will sooner or later tear your corpse into 10,000 pieces. The celestial pointed at Long Chen, his eyes almost spitting flames. If you have good stuff next time as well, then come and find me at any time. Long Chen waved the empty case out of the window amicably. Huo Wufang's expression sank. This time, his plan had been ruined. These people were his guests, and he couldn't just remain unconcerned about them. Once Huo Wufang and the others left, Long San, Fong Chong, and Chai Liehua couldn't help but laugh. Huo Wufang had wanted to give Long Chen a blow, but as a result, he had left with a vicious slap on his face. That had been all too satisfying. After drinking for a while longer, lanterns had to be lit. Fong Chong pulled away Tao Hong. Brother Long San, about that, I won't be accompanying you. In a bit, someone will come to bring you to see your partner. Your big bro won't disturb your fun, as I'm afraid I'll regret it if I see it. If I started to fight with you, that would damage our relationship. Having repeatedly refined pills, I have a stomach full of fire right now. For cultivation, for the great cause of alchemy, for upholding the inheritance of the Pill Tower, I'm going to release some of my fire now. After some righteous words, Fong Chong pulled away Tao Hong. As for Chai Liehua, he just directly pulled away the girl whose name was something fickle. Screw Chai Liehua, damn Fong Chong. What an appropriate phrase, Long Chen cursed inside. The woman accompanying Long Chen left, and then 2 prime maidens came to invite Long Chen to another room. He could only follow them. Although he had no intention of doing this, it wasn't that he looked down on them. Long Chen had never been against this kind of thing anyway. After all, gambling houses and brothels were the oldest businesses since mankind existed. The former embodied humanity's greed, and the latter embodied humanity's lust. No matter what your opinion was, visiting a prostitute could at least relieve a person of their lust, and it didn't harm anyone. It was much better than those experts who like to go around bullying the weak. So Long Chen actually admired Feng Chang and Chai Liehua for this. The two of them rarely used their status to bully others. On the highest floor of the House of Pleasures, there was a grand and luxurious room. This room was large and decorated very comfortably. The main color was pink, making the atmosphere charming and gentle. Long Chen sat on a chair in this room, thinking of how he should explain to that woman that he was an upright gentleman. If he hadn't changed his face, then perhaps he really could convince her of that. But his current face didn't seem the slightest bit related to an upright gentleman. This face made it seem more like something else would be up. Just as Long Chen was thinking, a beautiful maiden walked into the room. She was tall, almost reaching Long Chen's nose. Her figure was both lithe and curvaceous. There really was nothing to complain about in terms of her body. Then he looked at her face, and she was truly as beautiful as a crescent moon. Her skin was like jade, while her lips were purplish red. Her black hair fell to her waist. Not only was she beautiful, but there was something else about her that drew people in. It was like there was a charm that came from within her that could draw in a person's soul, making it so that a person couldn't possibly resist. She slowly walked over to Long Chen and reached out an arm, hooking it around Long Chen's neck. Her body pressed into Long Chen's, and he could even smell an intoxicating scent from her. Long Chen didn't have the slightest panic toward this sudden change. On the contrary, he said with a faint smile, "You are doing something very dangerous." The beautiful woman was surprised, but she quickly calmed down and icily said, "With your death imminent, you can still smile?" Long Chen shook his head. "You aren't able to kill me. If you didn't have a familiar aura on your body, you'd already be a corpse now." Bang! Suddenly, Long Chen's hand reached toward the woman's neck. She was startled and increased her force, wanting to crush Long Chen's neck. But she was shocked to find that Long Chen's neck was incomparably sturdy. It was like a dragon's body, and she was unable to shake him. By the time she realized this, Long Chen had already latched his hand onto her neck. At the same time, a fierce energy charged into her body, and she hastily circulated her greatest strength to resist. Suddenly, Long Chen released his grip, allowing the woman to escape. She was dumbfounded. Just now, she had clearly felt Long Chen's terrifying power. As long as he had desired it, her entire body would have exploded. But he had released her. As expected, you really are from the same race as her. Looking at the mark on the woman's head, a trace of warmth surfaced in Long Chen's eyes. Just now, Long Chen's energy had provoked the woman into releasing her full strength. That was an instinctual release upon being invaded by foreign energy. In that instant, Long Chen had seen a faint mark appear on her forehead. That was the devil character. It was the same mark as the one that had appeared on Yu Xiaoqian's forehead back then. Yu Xiaoqian's practically flawless face once more surfaced in Long Chen's mind. There was also that enchanting charm of hers that could not be refused. "Who are you?" The woman's expression changed completely. "There's no need to be nervous. I'm not your enemy. I want to ask, do you know Yu Xiaoqian?" asked Long Chen. How do you know the sacred daughter's name?" she asked with shock. "Sacred daughter? It's not good to carelessly raise a person's status with such a title. In my eyes, she was just a girl with no battle experience," laughed Long Chen. "Could it be, you're Long Chen? But the sacred daughter released images of Long Chen, and he doesn't look like you." The woman shook her head vigilantly. "You know me?" Long Chen was a bit surprised. Hesitating for a moment, he gently brushed his hand over his face, returning to his original experience. "How about now?" The woman's eyes popped up, and she suddenly cried with delight. "You're Long Chen, you're really Long Chen. About before, I'm sorry." "It's fine. In truth, I recognized your status as soon as you walked in." Long Chen smiled. "How is that possible? I planned for a long time to get in here, and I didn't leave any clues," she said. "The reason I knew had nothing to do with that. The first thing is that the feeling I get from you is similar to Yu Xiaoqian. But just that wasn't enough for me to be sure. The reason I was certain is because of that pendant on your neck. Long Chen pointed to her pendant. This pendant should have a devil core sealed inside it. Back then, Yu Xiaoqian and I got so many of them that I'm already completely familiar with their aura. So with those 2 points, I knew you were from the same race as her. I'm very curious. If you're viewed as villains by the entire world, why would you appear here? A helpless expression suddenly appeared on the woman's face, and she actually knelt, begging, "Master Long, please help the sacred daughter." Chapter 675. Long Chen hastily pulled her up. What happened with Xiaoqian? The sacred daughter received a backlash while cultivating the heavenly devil heart grand technique. Her soul was damaged. She needs a precious medicine known as the heaven netherworld soul replenishment root. But our skyscraping world doesn't have that medicine. Furthermore, even in the outside world, this kind of medicine has almost gone extinct. The sacred daughter situation is something the entire race is helpless about. She suddenly paused. It was Long Chen who continued, "You are all viewed as enemies of the world and unable to walk freely. You don't dare publicly search for it." As Long Chen's cultivation base increased, he had gradually managed to come into contact with some ancient tomes. It was said that there was an extremely powerful race in this world that was called the original devil race. They were a bunch of fiends intended to overturn the entire world and exterminate all life. But in the ancient era, they were defeated by experts and almost exterminated. However, some dregs continued to live in the cracks of this world. They were viewed as enemies of the entire world. When he read this, Long Chen had snorted disdainfully. Intended to overturn the world? It would have been best if they had succeeded. He didn't like this idiot world the slightest bit. So even after knowing Yu Xiaoqian came from the devil race, his feelings toward her hadn't changed in the slightest. He also felt more favorable towards her race. The woman was relieved to see Long Chen was still going to help despite knowing about the original devil race. That's not all. Our original devil race is cursed by this world. Here we will be exterminated by heavenly tribulation. If we want to come here, we have to use devil cores and refine them into special pendants that can conceal our aura from the heavenly Daos. Last time, the sacred daughter secretly slipped away to gain experience, and she brought back tens of thousands of those cores. With these cores, our original devil race can enter this world, and as long as we don't release our full strength, which would reveal the mark on our foreheads, people won't be able to recognize us. This time, many of us have been sent out to search for the heaven netherworld soul replenishment root, but devil cores can only conceal the auras of Xiantian experts and below. It does not affect Sea expansion experts. Without the support of those stronger experts, there's no way we can take such medicine by force. That's why I came up with a plan, getting rid of the original woman here and taking her place. I pretended to be her, hoping I could subdue one of the 3 great families' junior masters and obtain the heaven netherworld soul replenishing root. Her face suddenly began to change. She didn't move, but she transformed into a completely different person, one who was even more beautiful and moving. This is our race's innate skill. We can change our appearance at will, she explained upon seeing Long Chen's shock. Are all your devil race's women so beautiful? Asked Long Chen. Hee, haven't you already seen the most beautiful one? The sacred daughter is publicly acclaimed as our devil race's #1 beauty, she laughed. Long Chen nodded. Yu Xiaoqian's face had truly reached a flawless level. That was especially true of her charm, which seemed to exude from deep within her. It was a beauty that could not be refused, one that could steal away a person's soul. There's no need for you to go looking for the heaven netherworld soul replenishing root. I have it here, said Long Chen. That was a 6th-tier medicinal ingredient, and with Long Chen's character, how could he not have prepared it? Really? Excellent. Then the sacred daughter won't have to suffer the pain of her soul being devoured anymore, cried the woman. Tears streamed out of her eyes. Do you have alchemists in your race? No. We are cursed by the world and only possess our core energy. None of the elemental energy in the world can be used by us. This world really must be sick. Long Chen shook his head, feeling sympathy for them. Yu Xiaoqian's entire race was cursed. But Long Chen wasn't cursed, and yet the heavenly Daos always wanted his life. If the heaven netherworld soul replenishing root is consumed on its own, it doesn't have that great of an effect, and it acts very slowly. I'll refine a few medicinal pills for you to bring back to cure Xiaoqian. Other than that, if you trust me, let me examine your body, said Long Chen. She blushed but she nodded. Of course, I trust senior apprentice brother Long Chen. Xiao Dai will listen to your instructions. Hey wait, I don't need you to take off your clothes for the examination. Just let my spiritual yuan circulate through your body for a moment. Long Chen hastily waved his hand. He placed his arm on her back. His spiritual yuan flowed into her. He had to learn more about the devil race's cultivation method to be able to help use Xiaoqian better. As he examined her body, Long Chen was shocked to find that there was a strange energy in Xiao Dai's dantian. This was an energy Long Chen had never seen before. It was not spiritual qi and it was not spiritual yuan. It was completely different from any other energy in this world. That is our core energy. It's completely different from the energy that you cultivate, explained Xiao Dai. Long Chen nodded, and going through her body structure, he gained a fundamental understanding of her spiritual fluctuation. Other than that core energy being different, everything else was similar to a human. There would be no problem consuming a medicinal pill. You should rest and take care of yourself for the next few days. I'll add a few ingredients to refine the Heavenly Star Soul Replenishing Pill and also refine a few other pills for you to bring to Yu Xiaoqian. After saying that, Long Chen directly returned to the Fong family. Entering a private room, he locked the door and hastily took out the ingredients for the Heavenly Star Soul Replenishing Pill. This was a 6th-tier pill, and its difficulty was middling for its tier. It was still a bit difficult for the current Long Chen to refine it. But that was fine. With the assistance of an earth flame, it was no problem. Currently, Hualong was looking after a group of beast flames and rapidly growing. Now that Long Chen summoned it to refine pills, it was like adding wings to a tiger. Because Long Chen's mind was connected to Hualong's, their cooperation was seamless. Bang! Less than 6 hours later, a furnace of Heavenly Star Soul Replenishing Pills was completed. Other than one 8-ring pill, the rest all had 9 rings. How regretful. The medicinal ingredients don't possess enough spirituality, or with Hualong's strength, I could even refine top-grade pills, sighed Long Chen. With Hualong's assistance, Long Chen's refinement had been extremely relaxed and easy. Most importantly, Hualong possessed its own spirit. The second time, Long Chen didn't even need to control it. Hualong was able to refine on its own, causing Long Chen to be incomparably excited. Hualong, try it by yourself. Long Chen directly stopped doing anything at all. Hualong turned into a 3-meter-long flame dragon and wrapped around the pill furnace. The flame control was exactly the same as when he had controlled it. Bang! When the furnace lid popped open, Long Chen saw that they all had 7 rings. Although it wasn't the same level as when he had refined them personally, this was already shocking enough. Hualong, you really are amazing. Long Chen laughed. Having obtained this praise, Hualong excitedly wrapped around Long Chen's body. You can actually control the temperature on your own. In the future, you can help me refine pills when you're bored. Long Chen gently rubbed Hualong's head, filled with delight. Now he had a truly reliable helper. Help me refine pills in the primal chaos space. I have some other things I have to do. Long Chen placed Hualong, the pill furnace, and the medicinal ingredients into the primal chaos space. Now he would have a steady supply of pills even without doing anything. Xiao Dai said that Yu Xiaoqian has also reached the late Xiantian realm. I should refine her a few Blood Fiend Sea expansion pills. Long Chen suddenly took out a fist-sized, blood-colored fruit. That was the Blood Fiend Vermilion fruit. But it was not the same fruit that he had obtained in the Chaos region. That one had been turned into a seed and given birth to a large tree filled with such fruits. It went without saying that the primal chaos space was too heaven-defying. No matter what seed it was, no matter what kind of living environment the plant needed, it would grow rapidly. Currently, there were 7 medicinal fields near the center of the primal chaos space. Those corresponded to first-tier to 7th-tier ingredients. Although first-tier ingredients weren't very useful, there were some higher-tier medicinal pills that required the assistance of some low-tier ingredients to neutralize certain medicinal properties. An incense stick's worth of time later, there were now over 100 freshly picked medicinal ingredients around Longchen. Such fresh ingredients contained the densest energy. Longchen called Hua Long out of the primal chaos space to refine these ingredients to powder, and then began refining the Blood Fiend Sea expansion pill. This was also a 6th-tier pill, but it was the peak of mid-6th-tier pill. It was extremely difficult. Even with Longchen's abilities, he failed in the final moments of the refinement in his first try. But he didn't get discouraged. He had as many ingredients as he needed. Without even taking a break, he tried again. That was the confidence that came with being a pro. The second time, he succeeded, but it was not ideal. Out of 9 pills, 2 of them were trash, 3 had no rings, and out of the remaining 4, the best one only had 3 rings. It really is worthy of being at the peak of mid-6th-tier pills. This level of difficulty is truly abnormal, muttered Longchen before continuing to practice his refinement. After 7 tries, he finally refined a 9-ring Heavenly Star Soul Replenishment pill. This 9-ring pill was for Yu Shaoqian, and the other 50-something pills would be given to Xiao Dai for others. As for his own people, there was no rush. Longchen's spiritual strength grew with his cultivation base. And the stronger his spiritual strength, the higher quality the pills he could refine. Furthermore, the Dragon Blood Legion was still at the early Xiantian realm, and there was still quite a bit of time before they attacked the Sea expansion realm. After tidying up, Longchen left the room. Only then did he realize he had spent 2 days refining pills. It was already noon on the 3rd day. He hastily rushed toward the House of Pleasures. But he had only just left his residence when he saw a gloomy-faced Fong Chong and Chai Liehua. Fong Chong said, "Long San, something's happened." Chapter 676, 676. What happened? 3 days ago, we set you up with their top beauty. But as a result, a corrupt celestial asked for her to accompany him in a drink today. However, she refused. Those bastards actually forcibly snatched her away. They even said that if you, Long San, want your woman, you have to take a trip to the west of the city, said Chai Liehua through clenched teeth. When they had received this news, they had immediately rushed to the House of Pleasures. But they had still been too late. They didn't care about that woman. But she had had relations with Long San, and so she could count as Long San's woman. If she had willingly gone to accompany them, then they wouldn't have said anything. But to forcibly take her away was a slap in Long San's face. They had received this news from their own intimate partners, but by the time they had gotten there, she had already been taken away. That was why they had now come here to find Long San. It was obviously done by that celestial idiot from the other day. Let's go. If I let him live to see tomorrow's sun, I won't be surnamed Long. Longchen immediately rushed off. Long San, calm down. This is clearly a trap. Fong Chong hastily caught up. Any traps are useless in front of absolute strength. You two only have to cheer for me. I'll handle it. Longchen was filled with killing intent. Xiao Dai was playing the role of an ordinary Xiantian woman. In front of a powerful celestial, she had no chance. If she really resisted, it would expose her racial mark. Then it would be extremely troublesome. Death would become something exceedingly luxurious. Even if you used your butt to think, it would be obvious that this was something Huo Wufang had controlled from behind the scenes. As expected, the scene might change, but people didn't. Long Chen had let him off with his life in the Jiuli's secret realm. He had only been recovered for such a short time, but he had once more placed his sights on his people. Good, very good. Seeing Long San had his own cards up his sleeve, Fong Chong didn't stop him. After all, they were all men, and they could understand his emotions. He summoned a magical beast, and the 3 of them rushed off. To the west of Pilyang City, There was a wilderness. A bit further from that was a gully between two mountains. Thousands of experts had gathered there, watching a group of people from a distance. That group of people was only comprised of just over 10 people, but their leader was Huo Wufang. Huo Wufang was sitting, and there was a bed not far from him. On that bed was a beautiful woman who had been tightly bound. It was a pale-faced Xiao Dai. A man from the corrupt path was standing in front of the bed, looking avariciously at Xiao Dai. This was the celestial that Long Chen had half-killed in the House of Pleasures back then. He sinisterly laughed. Long San's woman? Hee, that short-lived brat has such luck with women. Today, I'll play with his woman in front of everyone, ha dash. Suddenly, the sky darkened as a huge flying magical beast appeared in the sky. At the same time, an icy voice rang out, "You dare place your sights on my Long San's woman? Good, in a bit I want to see just how big your guts are." Long Chen jumped off the magical beast. Seeing how Xiao Dai was bound to the bed, his blood began to boil. His arrival caused startled cries amongst the distant spectators. Their kidnapping of Xiao Dai from the House of Pleasures had caused a ruckus that made it so that many people were aware of it. They all knew this matter was not so simple. Huo Wufang smiled coldly upon seeing Long Chen. Everything was under his control. Xiao Dai was filled with terror, but she didn't dare to struggle. With her strength, there was no way for her to face a celestial. All fighting would do was expose her status. She wasn't afraid of death, but she was afraid that once she was dead, these people would imprison her soul and search through her memories. Then even 10,000 deaths wouldn't be enough to absolve her guilt. Seeing Long Chen arrive, for some unknown reason, Xiao Dai suddenly became calm. It was like that figure could give her endless comfort. "Ah, Long San, you actually came. Excellent. Do you want your woman? Fight me. If you win, you can bring this woman away," laughed the celestial. Long Chen ignored him and began walking directly to Xiao Dai, as if he didn't even see him. "Brat, you really are arrogant." Seeing Long Chen ignore him, the celestial was enraged, especially when he thought of how Long Chen had humiliated him. His killing intent erupted, and he appeared in front of Long Chen in an instant, punching him with his full strength. This time he was smarter and aware of how strong Long Chen's physical body was. His spiritual yuan caused the space around him to shudder. His fist ended up smashing into Long Chen's body. But everyone was shocked to find that it had just been an afterimage. What? The celestial hastily turned to see that Long Chen had used some sort of unknown technique to appear on top of the bed. Flames covered his hand, and using it as a blade, the tough beast tendons were all severed. Xiao Dai jumped up and hugged Long Chen. Long dash. Xiao Dai had only just opened her mouth when Long Chen hastily gave her a kiss on the lips. If she ended up calling out Long Chen in her excitement, then it would be over for them. Xiao Dai trembled upon being kissed. Long Chen gently stroked her hair and said, "Leave this to me." Xiao Dai blushed, immediately understanding her mistake. She obediently nodded as Long Chen pulled her off the bed, still not looking at the celestial. He walked off as if that guy didn't exist. "Die!" The celestial roared furiously, suddenly unsheathing his sword. A bitterly cold sword chi slashed down on Long Chen. This attack was filled with killing intent, and it locked down Long Chen so he couldn't dodge. This attack's goal was to kill Long Chen along with Xiao Dai. Long Chen smiled icily. A flame spear appeared in his hand. Boom! The land trembled, and everyone's eardrums shook from the explosive sound. Everyone's expressions changed. Such a collision could essentially kill any Xiantian alchemist instantly. What? When the dust settled, it revealed Long Chen. Countless runes revolved within his flame spear, incinerating the air. However, Xiao Dai had disappeared. People hastily looked around to see that Xiao Dai was already by Chai Liehua and Fang Chang's side. She had been sent out in an instant by Long Chen just now. Chai Liehua and Fang Chang were both nervous. They regretted bringing Long San here. To do all this for a woman was not worth it. But after interacting with Long San for so long, they were aware that his character was just this straightforward. Such a person would not tolerate being deceived. If they tried to trick him, Long San would very likely turn hostile toward them. But for an alchemist to go against a celestial? Their hearts rose into their throats. Xiao Dai was also nervous. She had no knowledge of Long Chen's strength. She only knew his name from Yu Shaoqian. Now, Long Chen was willing to fight a celestial for her. She couldn't help being moved. In all these years, the people in the outside world were enemies. She had never had an outsider treat her so well. Long Chen pointed his flame spear at the celestial and icily said, "Idiot, do you know why I let you off last time? It's because since I can crush you once, I can crush you twice. Seeing you're unconvinced, I'll give you a display so you understand just how terrifying an alchemist is." Boom! Suddenly, endless flames began to rage around Long Chen's body. It was as if he had changed into a flame god, and a terrifying heat came from him. This is the blaze eruption art. Long San was actually able to train in such a berserk pill flame magical art. Feng Chang was shocked. It wasn't just Feng Chang. Every alchemist present was shocked. That blaze eruption art was an extremely berserk magical art for alchemists. Through the suppression of soul energy, a person's pill flame would be transformed into the most berserk and chaotic attacking flame. It was completely different than the flame used when refining. It was a destructive flame whose only goal was to burn this world to nothing. The blaze eruption art was something that, in principle, anyone at the Pill Emperor rank and above could use it. But in reality, only Pill ancestors had reached the necessary level of control. A Pill Emperor's spiritual strength was not enough to cause the transformation of the Pill flame. Even Feng Chang and Chile Yehua, whose families had gone all out to groom them, would only barely be able to use this ability. But its power would be limited, and it wasn't suitable for battle. But Long Chen's spiritual strength was as vast as an ocean, and with it, he could use the blaze eruption art at its optimal level, causing everyone to be shocked. In that instant, Long Chen's aura became chaotic and berserk. It was like a sheep had suddenly become a terrifying magical beast. Feeling the change in this pill flame, Long Chen snorted coldly inside. Since he couldn't use his own strength, then he would just use an alchemist's strength. Die! Long Chen roared, his voice like thunder. He had already turned into a blazing shooting star, shooting at the celestial. At the same time, his flame spear released an ear-piercing boom as it pierced forward. The celestial's expression immediately changed. He sensed endless pressure from Long Chen. A blood-colored mark lit up on his forehead, and his blood chi soared. An image appeared behind him. That was an image of countless souls struggling. It was even possible to hear their mournful howls, like the sound of ghosts wailing for lives, a sound that made a person's blood turn cold. With a cold snort, the celestial's sword slashed down. In that instant, the image behind him disappeared, and the souls reappeared around his sword as he slashed it toward Long Chen. Chapter 677. Boom! A thunderous explosion shook heaven and earth. Long Chen's flame spear collided head-on with the celestial sword. Astral winds and raging flames erupted in every direction. The spectators were all horrified and hastily retreated. This was too appalling. They had never seen an alchemist able to go head-on against a terrifying celestial. As for Long Chen, he was still standing in the center of the flame and wind. With raging flames surrounding him, he appeared indescribably domineering. The corrupt celestial in front of him was filled with shock. In terms of strength, this alchemist in front of him actually suppressed him. Currently, their weapons were still interlocked, their auras continuing to rise. The wind around the celestial grew fiercer, and the flames around Long Chen grew taller. Boom! The land trembled as Long Chen was sent flying by a terrifying force. Everyone was startled. They saw a sea of runes had appeared around the celestial, one that caused a resonance with heaven and earth. He actually had to summon his cry of the heavenly Daos. The distant spectators were shocked. The cry of the heavenly Daos was the strongest trump card for celestials. In other words, By using this move, it signified he didn't have any assurance of defeating Long San without his full strength. You can die now. With a furious roar, the endless heavenly Tao runes behind the celestial surged, causing the world to darken. His sword slashed toward Long Chen. Should we go? Long San probably won't be able to block this, said Chai Liehua. Now that even the cry of the heavenly Taos had appeared, there was no need for this fight to continue. Long San had already displayed enough power. After all, he was an alchemist, not a martial artist. The power he had displayed was already shocking enough. If this continued, his defeat was undoubted. If the two of them joined hands with him, then although they wouldn't be able to defeat a celestial, it would at least make him afraid of injuring them. Let's just watch. This monster Long San has his own methods. We just have to be prepared if he can't handle it, said Fong Chong. Boom. The celestial sword slashed down. Long Chen flashed to the side, dodging. As a result, an immense ditch was carved into the ground. It was unknown just how many miles it extended. Long Chen became filled with battle intent. He had heard that alchemists had endless fighting potential. He wanted to see just how strong an alchemist could be. Suddenly, a crackling sound filled the air. The flames around Long Chen had only been 3 meters tall before, but now they instantly grew to 10 times that size, and even the space around him seemed to be burning. What? Fong Chong, Chai Liehua, and even the distant Huo Wufang all let out a startled cry. Long Chen was immersed in endless flames. Countless runes were revolving around him, and a terrifying pressure erupted, one that made their souls tremble. As those runes revolved, chanting filled the air. An old man in a conical hat was standing in the crowd. Seeing those runes around Long Chen, a touch of shock appeared in his eyes. But then he smiled. Interesting. My trip to the eastern wasteland wasn't wasted. This is the Nirvana scripture. How can you use it? Roared Huo Wufang. The Nirvana scripture was a technique that possessed no inheritor in the Pill Tower. It involved extremely profound mysteries of Pill Flame, and up until now, no one in the entire Pill Tower had been able to comprehend it. The Nirvana scripture was not necessarily a secret technique in the Pill Tower. Any disciples who had reached the Pill Emperor rank was able to read it. But in all the history of the Pill Tower, there were pitifully few people who had been able to comprehend it. No one had done so in the last 3,000 years. Although it was something no one currently comprehended, it was still one of the Pill Tower's highest core techniques. The Nirvana scripture's name was something everyone knew. This technique had no diagrams, no characters, and no annotations to explain it. The only things written in the technique were some strange runes. As for the runes revolving around Long Chen, they were precisely the runes of the Nirvana scripture. So everyone recognized it. Long San comprehended the Nirvana scripture? That's monstrous. Fong Chong and Chai Liehua felt like all the shock for their lifetimes had been used up on Long San. There was no more shock to be found. The Nirvana scripture is said to be endlessly powerful. It's unknown whether or not it can resist the cry of the heavenly Taos, said Chai Liehua. Boom! As the spectators spoke, the fighters clashed. Long Chen's Nirvana scripture and the corrupt celestial's cry of the heavenly Taos collided. The manifestation of the heavenly Taos raged and clashed with the flame runes. These two runic seas crashed on each other continuously. Everyone's expressions changed. This level of power had already surpassed their imaginations. Boom! With a final intense collision, the two runic seas parted. Long Chen and the celestial fell back hundreds of meters. Neither of them had taken an advantage in this exchange. The Nirvana scripture is so powerful. It's actually able to resist the cry of the heavenly Taos. Long San is truly heaven-defying. The spectators were shaken. This was their first time seeing someone capable of resisting a celestial's cry of the heavenly Taos. This Long San is just like that legendary Long Chen. He's clearly not a celestial, but he's still able to suppress celestials, said someone. Huo Wufang really is unlucky. I heard that last time when he tried to target Long Chen took half of his life. If the Hua family hadn't brought out their wealth, he would already be dead. Now he's fighting for the Pill Emperor competition's first place, and this Long San appears. Could it be that the Hua family is fated to be restrained by people surnamed Long? Sighed someone. Hua Wufang finally couldn't hold back and shouted, Long San, you aren't the Pill Tower's disciple, but you actually dared to secretly learn the Pill Tower's divine technique. Feng Chang interrupted, you're wrong. The first day Long San met me, he promised to join the Pill Tower. The formalities are being personally taken care of by Junior Master Chai. How can you say he's not a disciple of the Pill Tower? Correct, I'm in charge of handling this. If there are any problems, you can come to find me, said Chai Liehua. You too. Hua Wufang was about to explode. These two fellows were constantly using their authority to give Long San benefits, but he was helpless to do anything about it. Long Chun ignored the words from the outside. He had already become a member of the Fang and Chai families. No matter what happened, the two families would protect him. He didn't need to conceal anything. However, it was truly curious. When he had seen the Nirvana scripture, Long Chen had jumped in shock. The runes in the scripture gave him a very familiar feeling. Just with a glance, the profundities contained in those runes poured into his mind, and he had instantly comprehended it. Long Chen had only taken a few breaths' time to learn the Nirvana scripture. He even felt like he had already learned the technique before, but had forgotten it. Now that he displayed the technique, that feeling of familiarity increased. Long Chen suspected that the Nirvana scripture was related to the Pill God memories. But now wasn't the time to think about that. The fact that the Nirvana scripture could resist the suppression of the cry of the heavenly Daos made Long Chen incomparably delighted. Previously, he had always been worried that without the divine ring he wouldn't be able to fight a celestial. But now he no longer had that worry. With a cold cry, he raised his flame spear. And like a phoenix coming out of the flames, he shot toward the celestial. The celestial was shocked. He had never dreamed that the cry of the heavenly Daos, which had never failed him, would actually be suppressed. Seeing Long Chen charging at him with a chilling killing intent, a trace of fear entered his heart. He hastily slashed his sword at Long Chen. Their endless runes collided once more. Each one of their exchanges shook the land. This chaotic power caused everyone to tremble. I've pretty much gotten used to it. The two of them fought for an hour before Long Chen felt that it was enough. Gripping the flame spear with both hands, he suddenly attacked with his full strength. Long Chen might be unrivaled when it came to alchemy, but he was still a novice at fighting with his pill flame. He might be confident in his control over his pill flame, but magical arts were extremely profound. Even with the assistance of the Pill God memories, Long Chen had still needed some time to get used to it. That was especially true when it came to using flame weapons. They didn't have any weight on their own, but through his spiritual strength, he could adjust the runic energy within the weapon. He could make his weapon as light as a feather or as heavy as a mountain. This entire time, Long Chen had just been practicing and figuring out how to use this kind of weapon to his advantage. Although the fight had seemed intense, he hadn't used any true killing blows. Now he was done with that. Boom! With an explosive sound, a huge crater was blown into the ground, and endless waves shot out. The Celestial had no idea that Long Chen had still been holding back so much. Caught off guard, both his arms broke and he vomited blood. In terms of physical strength, he couldn't compare to Long Chen. Heavenly Tao recover dash. The Celestial hastily tried to heal. I don't have time for you to recover. Just die. Taking advantage of his injury, Long Chen's flame spear once more shot forward. It smashed into the Celestial's body, filling the air with blood. Buzz! The Heavenly Tao runes had only just begun to scatter when Long Chen's flame spear became a sphere that exploded in the air, disintegrating those runes. The entire crowd was deathly silent. Chapter 678, 678. His long hair fluttered in the air, and the flames around him continuously burned. Long Chen seemed just like a flame god. The instant Long Chen destroyed those heavenly Dao runes, it felt like time slowed down. Personally, seeing a celestial be killed by Long San completely stupefied everyone. A celestial had disappeared in front of them just like that. A new flame spear appeared in Long Chen's hand, and he pointed it at Huo Wufang. "Contemptible brat, do you dare fight? Do you dare fight? Do you dare fight?" Long Chen's shout echoed throughout the silent mountain valley. That voice caused everyone to tremble. They had been completely suppressed by Long Chen's unrivaled imposingness. The leftover aura from killing the celestial was still present on Long Chen. His powerful will caused heaven and earth to shiver. It made it so no one could form an urge to fight against him. Holding his spear, with his aura surging out of him, Long Chen made everyone speechless. Huo Wufang's expression darkened while the other corrupt celestial by his side was trembling inside. He was actually too afraid to fight Long Chen. The elder hidden in the crowd smiled and then silently disappeared. Xiao Dai was filled with delight. Long Chen gave people an extremely trustworthy feeling, as if anything could be given to him to handle. "We're going." Huo Wufang was furious, but he still decided to bring his people away. From start to finish, all he had done was embarrass himself. Now that this celestial had been killed, Huo Wufang had already lost all his face. "Huo Wufang." Long Chen suddenly appeared in front of him. "I know that this was all your dirty little plan. To dare touch my woman, you really are looking to die. I, Long San, don't have anything except my own life. If you want to play, then I'll accompany you. But let me warn you, if you once more touch my woman, I will make you regret ever being born in this world." "Long San, are you threatening me?" raged Huo Wufang. "You're wrong. I never threaten anyone. I am someone who gets things done, someone who does whatever he wants to do. If you are a real man, then don't hide behind your schemes. I hear you once dared to face Long Chen. Could it be that after being beaten half dead by Long Chen, your guts have shrunk and you don't dare face people head-on anymore?" sneered Long Chen. Boom! Huo Wufang's aura suddenly erupted, the ground beneath his feet trembling. A terrifying pressure rose as if an ancient beast was awakening within Huo Wufang's body. Long Chen's heart shook. In that instant, he felt an extremely dangerous sensation. Something was definitely off with Huo Wufang. Long Chen hastily retreated a few steps and readied himself. "Wufang, you child, how can you get angry so easily? If you get angry even from an ant's provocation, how will you ever accomplish anything in the future?" Suddenly, a cold shout rang out and Huo Changxing appeared. "Child knows his mistake," Huo Wufang hastily said. "Let's go. Your world won't be limited to this place. The opponents here are just stepping stones for you. Your target is a much vaster sky." Huo Changxing didn't even look at Long Chen. He brought their people away just like that. Everyone was startled. Huo Changxing had actually long since arrived but had just been watching in secret. Long Chen was also startled. Huo Wufang was someone Long Chen had been able to play with like a child back in the Jiuli's secret realm. But just now, he had felt a chill. That was a feeling the 9-star He Gem Embody art would only give him when there was a danger to his life. Just what happened to Huo Wufang for him to give me such a dangerous feeling? Wondered Long Chen. It seemed he had been a bit careless. Huo Wufang had completely changed. But it seemed he didn't want to release his true strength. "Long San, you are amazing. Even a celestial can be killed by you." At this time, Feng Chang and Chai Liehua also came over. They almost prostrated themselves toward Long Chen in admiration. In fact, it was almost a kind of worship. His alchemy skills were incredible, and his combat abilities were also terrifying. He was a monster. There was no way he was human. "Sorry, in the secret tome pavilion," apologized Long Chen. "No need to apologize. You're a member of our pill tower. You can learn whatever you want. If others want to fart about it, just let them. Furthermore, any disciple who joins the pill tower can enter the secret tome pavilion once a month, and you've only entered once. We didn't break any rules. And about that, Long San, are you sure you're human?" To have learned this much from entering the secret Tome Pavilion once, are you sure you aren't a monster? Asked Chai Liehua. Alright, don't spout nonsense. This isn't the place to talk. Let's go back. Lady Xiao Dai, I've already sent someone to buy you from the House of Pleasures. You'll be your own person in the future, said Fong Chang. Brother Fong, really, thank you, said Long Chen. In truth, Long Chen knew that this was just his way of pulling him onto his side even more. No need to thank me. Brother Chai and I might be junior masters of our families, but we actually get very little income. It can't even make up for a month of Huo Wufang's expenses. This bill is something my family's old man paid for, said Fong Chang. Fong Chang and Chai Liehua were both treated extremely strictly by their families. They had to make their own money through refining pills. Alchemy was one of the greatest money-making tools in the world. But the two of them had it different. Their family's goal was to temper them. They only allowed them to make money off refining extremely difficult pills with high odds of failure. Sometimes they might spend a month refining without earning a single copper coin. In fact, they would even owe money for the ingredients. It was only in the past few years that their alchemy had improved enough that they managed to repay their debt and get some savings. Long Chen approved of this method. At the very least, the two of them didn't have the same vile habits as Huo Wufang. The feeling they gave others was completely different. I'll have to thank him. Long Chen smiled. This matter was now over. Long Chen pulled Xiao Dai back with him to the Fong family. The Fong family head was truly worthy of being a leader. He directly made a large courtyard available for Long Chen and Xiao Dai. They had a large house with their own servants. Long Chen's relationship with the Fong and Chai families had grown even more intimate now. Now they no longer called him the same thing. Instead, they called him Junior Master Long, a name on the same level as Fong Chang and Chai Liehua. First Master Chai, second Master Fong, and third Master Long. Now their three names rang throughout Pilyang Prefecture. A large disturbance erupted on the day Long Chen killed the Celestial. However, while the corrupt path might feel fine abusing the righteous path, they didn't dare to do anything to the Pill Tower. Later that evening, the Fong family held a grand feast as a celebration. Fang Mingyuan was growing more and more pleased with Long San. But after that feast, Fang Mingyuan told Long Chen he should focus on alchemy. Although he didn't say it directly, his meaning was very obvious. He didn't want Long Chen wasting his energy on Xiao Dai. If a problem occurred during the finals because of that, it really would be a joke. Long Chen didn't know whether to laugh or cry. But he immediately patted his chest and guaranteed he wouldn't do such a thing before the finals. That satisfied Fang Mingyuan. To be so sensible at such a young age and to possess such shocking abilities but still be low-key was truly rare. When the social niceties were finally over, Long Chen returned to his residence. Xiao Dai was already there, but her expression was a bit unnatural from nervousness. Long Chen smiled slightly. Perhaps Xiao Dai had misunderstood. Xiao Dai, I've refined the pills already. They're in this ring. Do you need to use a transportation formation to leave, or do you have another method? Hearing that Long Chen had prepared the pills, this quickly delighted Xiao Dai. I don't need a transportation formation. We have our own secret technique. As long as I activate it, I'll immediately be sent away. Long Chen handed the spatial ring to her. Then you should leave quickly. Remember to tell Xiao Qian that just tell her that I miss her. Thank you, Brother Long. I'll definitely pass on your words. Xiao Dai quickly took out a dozen strange bones. Those bones had mysterious carvings on them that possessed powerful spatial strength. Will this be sensed by others? Asked Long Chen. No. Our original devil race's secret technique causes almost no spatial fluctuations. The people outside this room won't be able to sense a thing. But the bones began to glow. Xiao Dai was enveloped by a gentle light, and then her body slowly faded. Brother Long, thank you for everything. Goodbye. Xiao Dai waved all the way until she completely disappeared. The bones disintegrated, turning into a fine powder. Xiao Dai's gone now. I'll have to think of an excuse. Long Chen rubbed his chin, thinking. Suddenly he felt almost 10 powerful auras creeping into his courtyard. Damn, what perfect timing. Long Chen smiled with delight. Long San, get out here and die. Suddenly, a clear shout rang out. A figure charged through the gate to Long Chen's courtyard. The door was directly blown apart by his palm. Long Chen rushed out to see a black-robed man wearing a mask. He obviously didn't want others to know who he was. Who are you? Long Chen accompanied this person's act. Normally, Long Chen wouldn't be so stupid as to ask such a question when someone barged through the door like this. But to give this person an opportunity, he had to accompany him. That person sneered, "The person who will kill you." He suddenly flashed into motion, punching at Long Chen. He was incomparably quick, and this fist caused space to shake intensely. He was actually a powerful celestial. Kill me? You're still lacking, you bastard. Long Chen's expression suddenly changed, as when he went out to face this person, another 7 figures rushed into his room. Long Chen ignored the person in front of him, hastily charging back and shouting, "Careful! Care about yourself." That person sneered and runes erupted from his body, instantly locking down Long Chen. He didn't want to kill Long Chen. He just needed to stall him. Idiot! Long Chen cursed inside. But he had to act extremely panicked. He continued to try and charge into his room. Boom! Dust filled the sky. The entire courtyard was blown up, gone. "Bastards, what did you do?" roared Long Chen. But the experts that had charged in were also dumbfounded. They hadn't done anything, but the room had just exploded. "She's not here." Those people were all startled. They had clearly sensed 2 life auras a while ago. They didn't know that the second life aura was simply a pill that Long Chen had brought out to trick them. "Leave." Following one person's order, the other 7 also rushed away. Long Chen raged, "Do you think you can just come and go as you please?" Boom. Long Chen had only just moved to stop them when 4 of them turned back, attacking him. Long Chen hastily blocked, and he was sent flying as a result. As expected, you can't rely on rumors. Long San only has this little ability, sneered one person before disappearing into the night. These people had come suddenly, and they left suddenly. In just a breath's time, they disappeared. Long San, what happened? At this time, the Fong family's experts finally arrived. Fong Chang saw Long Chen lying on the ground and hastily helped him up. "I'm fine." "But Xiao Dai was taken," said Long Chen hatefully. "What? Intolerable." Fong Chang's rage soared. To actually barge into his family's territory to snatch Long San's woman, that was definitely a slap to the Fong family's face. "Let's chase," said a sea expansion expert. Only at this time did Long Chen see that the Fong family actually possessed over 10 sea expansion experts. He hadn't seen any of them before. Then thinking about it, he realized these had to be the Fong family's guests. To put it in an uglier way, they were simply the Fong family's bodyguards. The Fong family were alchemists, and they needed some martial artists as fighters. There's no need. The 8 of them were all Xiantian celestials. They've long since gotten away. Long Chen shook his head. "What? 8 celestials?" Fang Mingyuan's expression was grave. "It should have been done by the Hua family. Tomorrow is the day Hua Wufang is taking a concubine. The Hua family has created close relationships with countless righteous and corrupt sections. Those sects sent their strongest disciples to congratulate him. One reason is to bribe the Hua family, and one is to show their own strength. According to some reliable information I obtained, there are over 30 celestials that came. Other than the Hua family, no one else has the power to cause this many celestials to appear. Furthermore, they have nothing to fear. Long San's already said they were masked. Without evidence, we can't do anything to them. Then, are we just supposed to allow them to dishonor Long San's woman?" Fang Chang's expression changed. As a man, even if you had to die, you still couldn't allow such a thing to happen. Hua Wufang was truly intolerable. "Long San, what do you say?" Fang Mingyuan looked at Long Chen. Long Chen's expression was dark, but he was extremely calm. "Family head, I have something I want to discuss with you in private. All right. Within a private room of the Fong family, Long Chen suddenly smiled toward the family head. Since matters have reached this point, I no longer need to conceal anything from you. My original goal in muddling my way into the Fong family was to borrow the Fong family's strength to handle the Hua family. I trust that Senior has already sensed that. But since you didn't say anything, you must have your own plan. But now things are becoming clearer and clearer. The Fong and Hua family are like water and fire. If the Hua family wins, then your two families will either have to leave or be exterminated. I need your strength to handle the Hua family, and you need my strength as well. It can be said that we both need each other. Continue. Fong Mingyuan sank into thought for a moment. His face didn't reveal any expression. Long Chen nodded inside. As expected, Fong Mingyuan had long since sensed something. If he had always thought this scheme of his had been completely flawless, then he really would be an idiot. I truly do think of Chai Liehua and Fong Chang as brothers. Although this friendship was a bit insincere in the beginning, after going through some trials, that insincerity has disappeared. So right now, I want to discuss things openly with you. Hua Wufang's conduct today has completely infuriated me. I want to know, if I go all out against the Hua family, how much help can you and the Chai family head give me? Asked Long Chen. Fong Mingyuan's hand tapped on the table rhythmically. For a long time, he didn't say a word. Long Chen also didn't say anything. He was waiting for a response. Finally, Fong Mingyuan said, "Cooperating is fine. But I need proof that you won't betray my Fong family." The proof is very simple. Long Chen brushed his hand over his face, revealing his original appearance. How is this for proof? Fong Mingyuan's pupils shrank. Looking at Long Chen, it was a long time before he finally exclaimed, "Long Chen. Ha. Good, very good. When it comes to craziness, no one can compare to you. I never imagined that you were still alive." Of course, I'm still alive. If I died, wouldn't the Hua family be free to do whatever they wanted? Laughed Long Chen. He pointed to his face. How is it? Is this proof enough? Fong Mingyuan nodded. It is enough. Your reputation precedes you. I already took note of you when the news of what happened in the Jiuli secret realm spread. I even investigated you, learning that you always stay loyal to your friends and family. There were even several times where you risked your life to save your companions. Such a person is someone I can trust. Long Chen said, Fong Chang and Chai Liehua aren't bad. They're good brothers. I was originally planning on inciting conflict between your two families and then jumping in at the last moment to give the Hua family a vicious blow. But since they're my brothers, I have no choice but to change that plan. I'll help you eliminate the Hua family. Today, Hua Wufang sent out 8 celestials to capture Xiao Dai. There are 2 reasons I didn't chase. One is because I couldn't catch up, while the other is that even if I chased them to the Hua family would come up with all kinds of excuses to bar me at the gate. If I'm alone, there's no way for me to handle the Hua family. So I need to lay all my cards on the table for you to see. Although Xiao Dai was just a woman from a brothel, she was still my woman. I can't just accept this humiliation. So I've decided to give Hua Wufang a vicious blow. I need your help for that. What's your plan? Asked Fong Mingyuan. What's my plan? Don't you know my temperament? He snatched my woman today, so tomorrow, I'm going to snatch his woman. Long Chen rubbed his fists. You want to snatch his concubine? Fong Mingyuan gasped. Long Chen was crazy. Yes. He snatched my woman, so I'll also snatch his woman. Then we'll be even, and this matter can end here, said Long Chen shamelessly. Fong Mingyuan was speechless. How could snatching women be calculated like this? Furthermore, his woman had just been a prostitute, while Hua Wufang was undergoing an official wedding ceremony with a concubine. How was that the same at all? The Hua family had already sent out the invitations, and countless righteous and corrupt experts had come to attend the ceremony. If Long Chen really managed to snatch her, wouldn't the Hua family's people have no choice but to kill themselves in shame? Just what level had Long Chen's craziness reached? The Hua family is very powerful. In truth, Fang Mingyuan tried to persuade Long Chen to give up this thought. But Long Chen shook his head. Family head Fang, this is something I must do. That Hua Biluo is someone who helped me at a critical moment. If I can't save her, then I wouldn't be a man. If you refuse to help, I can only think of some other way tomorrow. I won't just watch as she is humiliated. It seems my only choice is to capture Hua Wufang as fast as possible and use his life to exchange for Hua Biluo's safety. But even if I succeed in that, it would expose my identity, and I would no longer be able to participate in the Pill Emperor competition. I also won't be able to kill Hua Wufang, so he will easily take first place. As for what will happen later, I'm sure there's no need for me to explain. Fang Mingyuan sighed. Long Chen, you are forcing me. Isn't that because I have no other choice? Helping me is also helping your Fang family. Furthermore, I can promise you that if I attend the finals, Hua Wufang will definitely be suppressed. Long Chen tossed out another enticement. Do you really have that confidence? Fang Mingyuan's eyes brightened. I, Long Chen, never speak any empty words. These words were a bit arrogant, but they were even more moving than 1,000 promises to Fang Mingyuan. He hesitated for a moment before clenching his teeth, saying, All right, since you have such confidence, I'll bet everything on you. Don't worry. I guarantee you will make back your investment. Let's discuss what will happen tomorrow. Long Chen began to explain his plan. What? You didn't manage to catch that woman? Hua Wufang's expression was ugly. He hadn't expected that 8 Xiantian Celestials would still return having accomplished nothing. When we moved in, we clearly felt 2 auras in the room. But then somehow, the only one inside was Long San. In order to not expose our identity, we could only immediately leave. Brother Hua, I really am sorry, said one slender man wearing a scholar's headband. Hua Wufang was currently in a large room with over 30 experts. These people were all terrifying celestials. Furthermore, they were very young, and they contained members from both the righteous and corrupt paths. The person who had spoken just now was from a righteous sect. Your righteous path really is undependable. You wasted Brother Hua's trust. How useless, sneered a corrupt celestial. You. If you have any ability, then go yourself. Let it go. This matter ends here. Seeing the 2 sides were about to fight, Hua Wufang hastily stopped them. These people were all his guests. These people came from powers that were the Hua family's customers. The 2 sides had cooperated for many years now. They had helped the Hua family obtain endless resources. Since he was the future leader of the Hua family, he naturally had to nurture good relationships with them. Tomorrow is the wedding ceremony. Now isn't a good time to do anything. We'll wait until after. This Long San has been repeatedly offending me, thinking that he can do so with the Fang and Chai family's support. Once I capture his woman, I'll definitely find her a few hundred men to satisfy. Then I'll record it all and show him right before the finals. I want to see if he can still calmly refine pills at that time, sneered Hua Wufang. Brother Hua, just leave this matter to us and we'll handle it, said a corrupt celestial. He had 2 swords on his back, and his eyes were extremely strange. One was completely black, while one was completely white. Then I'll thank you for your trouble. Come, as my honored guests, let's have a celebration. The fact that you could come here today means that you truly treat me as a brother. In the future, as long as I am alive, there will be no problem with your supply of medicinal pills. Hua Wufang did his best to entice them. He also knew that if the Hua family truly wanted to get a firm foothold, they had to pull in more experts. These people were the elites of the powers they belonged to. In the future, they would be the leaders of those powers. So Hua Wufang had to win them over. But he didn't know that while he plotted on how to snatch Long Chen's woman, Long Chen was also thinking the same about his. By the time the morning sun released its first light over the horizon, Pilyang City was already filled with people. Countless people were holding fresh flowers on the sides of a 10-mile-wide road, calmly waiting. Suddenly, they saw some activity as a large carriage slowly appeared. These people all had close relationships with the Hua family, and they had come from all corners of the eastern wasteland. Some people hadn't even received an invitation card from the Hua family and had merely come to suck up. But after coming here, they realized that they didn't even have the qualifications to do that. There were too many people, and some of them came from even stronger sects than them. The only thing they could do was wave their flags and cheer. Within the carriage was a beautiful woman. She wore a phoenix crown and a red shawl. But her eyes were icy cold, seeming to contain endless hate and killing intent. She was Hua Biluo. When she had been sent back to Biluo Mountain, that had counted as the end of her experience. She had received the family's care and resources. Her display had been exceptionally good, and she had formed a relationship with Long Chen, who had been the reason why the Mo family had exterminated the Yin family. In this world, there was nothing happier than having one's mortal enemy be destroyed. As a result, she had even been given the chance to obtain a heavenly Dao inheritance. Unfortunately, that chance hadn't worked out. Out of the 10 spots, only one person had managed to become a celestial, and that person hadn't been her. If it hadn't been her, then that was fine. But the person who had become a celestial was envious of her beauty, and she repeatedly suppressed her. The thing that was most difficult to accept was that this person was her older half-sister. In this world, there was a saying that fortune never came in pairs. That perfectly described Hua Biluo's plight. After her older sister had become a celestial, she gradually gained authority in the family. She even had the right to join the discussion on major affairs occurring within the family. As a result, when the news that Long Chen had fallen in the Chaos region came, Hua Biluo had yet to recover from her shock when the Hua family came to propose a marriage. Her big sister had helped her out, and no matter how Hua Biluo had tried, she hadn't been able to change her fate of being married into the Hua family. Even when she had gone to beg her father, his response was, everything was for the big picture. One person had to sacrifice themselves for the greater good. That made Hua Biluo's heart turn completely cold. She now truly experienced the heartlessness of an ancient family. If she wanted the right to speak, she had to have enough power. Otherwise, no one would listen to her. Back when she had helped Long Chen, the higher-ups had even praised her for being far-sighted and having good judgment. When the Mo family had exterminated the Yin family, the family head had personally come to give her praise. But now that Long Chen had fallen, Hua Biluo's position had taken a devastating hit. She was actually treated as a chess piece to appease the Hua family. Who in the entire Hua family was unaware of Hua Wufang's hatred toward her? But in the entire Hua family, not one person had said a word for her, not even her father. Now, Hua Biluo was like a walking corpse, as if she didn't have the slightest strength. That was because her good sister, for her own safety, had sealed her spiritual yuan, making it so she couldn't even kill herself. She felt hatred. She felt hatred toward her emotionless family. She felt so much hatred that she wanted to kill all of them. Even if these people had thick blood ties with her, she no longer cared. As the carriage moved, she heard the ruckus outside, and she could even see her grand and majestic sister sitting on a golden horse at the front of the carriage. That sister of hers was bringing her step by step toward despair. Suddenly, the side window of the carriage was opened. A woman stretched her head in. This woman's face was not bad, but her forehead was a bit big and her chin was a bit sharp. The feeling she gave others was not a good one. Dear sister, do you see? There are so many experts watching. Your wedding is so incredibly grand. You better thank me for this. This person was Hua Biluo's sister, Hua Jinrong. Hua Biluo seemed to not hear her. She didn't even bat an eye. Right now, she had lost the qualifications to fight against her. She had never imagined that her sister loathed her so much. Sister, you really are beautiful today. I hope Hua Wufang is a protective man who makes sure you won't have an early death. Ha, Hua Jinrong laughed, but that laugh was full of envy and rancor. After I die, will you really be happy? Hua Biluo finally opened her mouth. Of course, that way I won't have to see your face. Then the only beauty in Biluo Mountain will be me, Hua Jinrong, she laughed. A martial artist's lifespan is long. Are you sure your beauty will last so long? You won't age one day? Even if you can maintain it, millions of experts rise on Biluo Mountain, and babies are born each day. There will be quite a few beauties reaching their prime every year. Are you going to kill them all? Hua Biluo icily asked. Correct. As long as they're more beautiful than me, I'll get rid of them. In the future, the Hua family will be mine, and under my rule, I will be a supreme god. No one can disobey me, said Hua Jinrong. The family's higher-ups really were blind. If they knew this thinking of yours, perhaps they would have decided differently, sighed Hua Biluo. She had never expected that her sister's heart was so dark. You should worry about yourself. With Hua Wufang's vicious and domineering character, he'll definitely torment you to the point that you'll be between a human and a ghost. All that grievance of mine from all these years can finally be released, laughed Hua Jinrong. Hua Biluo lowered her head, no longer speaking. Hua Jinrong was truly crazy, but there was one thing she was right about. She really should worry about herself. Suddenly, a burst of activity came from the front, and the carriage stopped. Hua Jinrong roared, "Who dares block our path?" On this vast road, a man stood in front of the carriage. Heavens, isn't that Long San? What is he doing? Today's a big day for Hua Wufang. Is Long San trying to disrupt things? It's not just Long San. Junior Master Chai and Junior Master Fong have also come. What are they up to today? Long Chen had been waiting here for a long time. Now that the carriage had finally arrived, he directly appeared in front of it. Following him, Fong Chang and Chai Liehua also appeared. Fong Chang, this road was opened by me. Chai Liehua, these trees were planted by me. Long Chen, if you want to use this road, you have to pay my fee. The three of them shouted together, "Break this rule at your own peril." This caused everyone to be dumbfounded. The three junior masters had changed professions to bandits? Fong Chang, men raise your hands. I came here to snatch money, not to snatch women. Chai Liehua, women raise your legs. I came here to snatch women, not to snatch money. Long Chen, what are you two doing? If you snatch the women and the money, what am I supposed to do? Third Master, don't misunderstand. We're talking about the others. The one in the carriage is yours, said Fong Chang hastily. Seeing Long Chen's group of three blocking the carriage, Hua Jinrong was dumbfounded. She had never expected that there would be people who dared to block the Hua family's bridal carriage. Who are you? Could it be? Hua Jinrong hastily jumped off the carriage and walked forward. The Junior Master Chai, you're the one who said you wanted the women. This is definitely peak grade, laughed Fong Chang upon seeing Hua Jinrong. Long Chen also laughed. But Chai Liehua was dumbfounded and he raged, "Who are you? How did you manage to sneak into the bridal carriage? Don't you feel embarrassed to come out in public when you're so ugly?" Fong Chang and Chai Liehua were both very handsome, and they liked beautiful women. According to reason, the bridal carriage procession should have quite a few beautiful maids. But this Hua Jinrong wasn't up to par. Hua Jinrong was enraged. Ever since she had become a celestial, the entire family had treated her as a treasure. How was she supposed to accept such an insult? Get the fuck out of here. Just look at your own face. The top is wide and the bottom is narrow. If you tied a string to your nose, we could use your face as a plow. Don't nauseate others here. Chai Liehua's mouth was truly vicious. Fong Chang and Long Chen both had admiring expressions. Chai Liehua was actually an expert cursor. He had truly hidden his skills well. Fuck off. Hua Jinrong's face twisted in fury. She unsheathed her sword and stabbed it toward them as quick as lightning. Pow! Just as Long Chen was wondering if this was the time to use his divine face-slapping technique, Fong Chang had already struck. His hand swung in a graceful arc, smashing onto Hua Jinrong's face. There was no need to doubt his talent when it came to this. Fong Chang was the first genius Long Chen had seen who possessed this kind of comprehension and control. Due to her fury, Hua Jinrong was easily struck and sent flying. "Bitch, how dare you block my path? You think I don't dare teach you a lesson?" snorted Fong Chang. To send a celestial flying in such a graceful, beautiful, smooth and calm manner was truly amazing. If he could erase the excitement in his eyes, then it would definitely be extremely badass. Long Chen had hesitated because he felt this woman was a bit too ugly to be slapped. But it seemed Fong Chang wasn't picky. Suddenly, a hand brushed open the curtains of the carriage, revealing a face that caused startled cries. Wow, what a beautiful woman. Haha, I really profited this time. Long Chen suddenly let out a strange cry upon seeing Hua Biluo. Hua Biluo had originally thought that she was dead. She had essentially ignored everything happening outside. But then she had heard Long Chen's voice. That tone felt familiar. Then seeing his face, she couldn't help being disappointed. This person was familiar, but it wasn't him. However, then Long Chen had let out that strange cry which caused Hua Biluo to stiffen. That voice was Long Chen's original voice. It sounded a bit odd to others, but Hua Biluo immediately recognized it. She was sure. It had to be him. Although his face had changed, his figure was the same. And that wild aura of his was the best tell. Seeing Long Chen stealthily wink at her, Hua Biluo immediately suppressed her excitement. Although she didn't understand what was going on, she knew that she was saved. In this world, was there anything he was incapable of doing? Thinking of that, her heart warmed. She hadn't expected that when the rest of the world had abandoned her, Long Chen would be the one to save her. She wasn't able to stop her tears. She hastily closed the curtains so that others wouldn't suspect anything. Wow, she really is beautiful. Third Master, you really profited. Fong Chang and Chai Liehua were stunned and envious. Although it had only been an instant, the surrounding people had still seen her face. They were flabbergasted. Bastards, who are you? Hua Jinrong was no longer so stupid. Within Pilyang Prefecture, who didn't know that today was Huo Wufang's wedding day? So they definitely knew what they were doing. That startled and angered her. She cursed at the carriage. Slut, was this done by you? Long Chen's expression sank. He immediately realized this sharp-faced woman was no good person. He flashed into motion, arriving in front of Hua Jinrong and giving her a slap on the other side of her face. Seeing this, Fong Chang immediately concentrated. He had always prostrated himself toward Long Chen's divine face-slapping ability. He had to take advantage of any chance to learn. But this time, the thing he didn't understand was that Long Chen's slap this time was clearly slower than usual. Hua Jinrong instinctively dodged. But just as she dodged, a large hand grabbed her throat, and a berserk energy directly sealed her cultivation base. Junior Master Chai, this woman is yours. Weren't you the one who said you came to snatch women? A man must keep his word. Long Chen flung Hua Jinrong to him. Hua Jinrong was pale now. Her cultivation base was absolutely nothing in front of Long Chen. She was unable to resist at all. She had only just advanced to the Xiantian realm, so this was a huge blow to her. In the Hua family, she was the #1 junior expert. But here, if someone wanted to kill her, she would be crushed like an ant. Yes, it was true that Hua Jinrong was a celestial. Yes, it was true that celestials were incomparably powerful. But Hua Jinrong's actual combat experience could not compare to Hua Biluo. She had only been lucky to obtain a heavenly Dao inheritance and become a celestial. Furthermore, she had not yet reached the point where she could summon the cry of the heavenly Daos. When it came to fighting ordinary experts, she naturally would crush them. But as for Long Chen? What kind of joke was that? Long Chen had killed more celestials than she had ever seen. Chai Liehua caught Hua Jinrong. Noticing that her spiritual yuan was sealed and she was unable to move, he couldn't help but feel bad. Long San, it's not that I'm against stealing women, it's just that, are you sure she's a woman? Ah, Junior Master Chai, your words are a bit off. Who knows? Maybe once you blow out the lanterns at night, she might really be a beauty, laughed Fong Chang. At this time, everyone was dumbfounded. Someone as powerful as Hua Jinrong, a grand Xiantian celestial, didn't even have the slightest ability to resist before being caught. Long Chen was too lazy to bother with Hua Jinrong. He turned to the carriage. The beauty inside, don't be shy. I'm not a bad person. No one could endure it. After robbing a carriage, he now said he wasn't a bad person? Did he even believe himself? Hua Biluo almost laughed. Longchen was always like this. Huge matters were all treated lightly by him as if they were insignificant. Come out and chat. What are you doing here? Asked Longchen. Hua Biluo held back her smile and walked out of the carriage. You can't tell? I'm here to marry someone. Although she didn't know what drug Longchen had taken, she knew that since he had come, he would definitely save her. She directly accompanied Longchen in his act. Marrying someone? Well, Wufang? You should stop while you still can. That fellow is just a brute. For a beautiful woman like you to marry someone like him is like throwing a flower in a pile of crap. Longchen shook his head. Brother, the expression is sticking a flower into a pile of manure, said Fong Cheng. Tisich, is Huo Wufang even fit to be manure? Manure at least has a few nutrients to grow more flowers. But at best, he is just dog sheet without the slightest use. Longchen then turned to Hua Biluo. Miss, let's discuss this. Since you came to marry someone, well, aren't I someone? You should just marry me. No matter how you look at it, at least in figure, I'm human, not sheet. The others were speechless. This Long San was truly talented. He was clearly kidnapping the bride, but he could still say such grand and righteous words. Just how shameless was he? Despite knowing she shouldn't and trying to hold back as hard as possible, a chuckle still escaped Hua Biluo's mouth. All right. Hearing this, the crowd became deathly silent. Had the world gone insane? The Hua family bride had been snatched away by someone just like this? Miss, your eyesight really is good. Let me tell you, by marrying me, you'll definitely wake up from laughter every morning, laughed Longchen. He then went over to those people from the Hua family who had been her escorts. Because it's our first time meeting, I don't have anything good for you. Each person will get 10 middle-grade spirit stones. Please, don't cry about it being so little. Just take them for now, and in the future, once we enter the bridal room, there will be even greater rewards. This action of his stunned everyone. This Long San really had too much money. Many thanks, son-in-law. The people in charge of escorting Hua Biluo immediately changed their tone. What kind of joke was this? The majority of them were merely at the bone-forging realm. They had never even seen a middle-grade spirit stone before. Let alone calling him son-in-law. If he wanted them to call him daddy, they wouldn't hesitate. Whether it was the guards or the servants, they were all given 10 middle-grade spirit stones. Each of them was so excited that they almost went crazy. They felt like they were dreaming. All right, let's start the music again. Everyone work hard. We're returning home, ordered Longchen. The procession's musicians immediately began to play again, this time even louder than before. Wife, get in the carriage. We're returning. Longchen smiled and pulled Hua Biluo in. The procession changed directions, now going toward Fang Manor. All the experts that had been hoping to curry favor turned into statues. They just watched as the bridal carriage went off in another direction. Who was that? Asked someone upon seeing the carriage slowly leave. You don't know who Long San is? He's an absolute legend. He's someone soaring like a shooting star in Pilyang Prefecture. It's said that he'll definitely get in the top 3 of the Pil Emperor competition, and there's even a chance he might take first, answered someone. He's that amazing? Then what are we waiting for? We originally had no business here. If we can suck up to Long San, then if he takes first place in the Pil Emperor competition, wouldn't it still be the same thing for us? It would be even easier than sucking up to the Hua family. Suddenly, someone slapped himself on the leg and chased after the carriage. Everyone thought about it. They had originally come to curry favor with the Hua family. But the fact that someone dared to fight against the Hua family meant they were even more badass than the Hua family. Who would believe that someone who dared to do this didn't have any ability? The people present were all pragmatic experts. They quickly flocked over to the carriage. Because the carriage was so slow, and the majority of these people were Xiantian experts, they almost instantly caught up. They cheered on the sides of the road while waving streamers and sprinkling flowers. Longchen laughed inside. He hastily took out a spatial ring. That was what had been left behind after killing the corrupt celestial. It was filled with spirit stones. As people sprinkled flowers, he sprinkled spirit stones. There were all middle-grade spirit stones, and these people went crazy, cheering with even greater fanaticism. They saw that whoever shouted the loudest would get tossed a spirit stone. In an instant, the ruckus Long Chen was causing was 10 times greater than before. The cheering was transmitted through the majority of Pyongyang City. There was no way around that. These people were experts. Experts didn't just have strong fists, they also had strong throats. Congratulations, Third Master Long, on your union with Miss Hua Biluo. Congratulations, Third Master Long. I wish you an early son with Miss Hua Biluo. Congratulations, Third Master Long. May the two of you be blessed with love and affection. Long Chen laughed. Anyone who screamed their blessings loudly was given a spirit stone. Third Master, don't you think this is a bit too much? Fang Chang and Chai Liehua were both pained to see Long Chen throw out middle-grade spirit stones like this. Even they didn't have that much money. But Long Chen didn't care. In any case, Fang Mingyuan had already agreed to cooperate. But his true identity was still a secret. Only Fang Mingyuan and Chai Gaoyang knew. So even Fang Chang and Chai Liehua didn't know Long San was Long Chen. Seeing him throw out money like this, they were incredibly distressed. What are you afraid of? We're boosting our momentum right now. The greater our momentum, the greater the slap to the Hua family's face. It's very worthwhile. Wait, where's that woman? Asked Long Chen. I tossed her. Holding her was too nauseating, said Chai Liehua with a disgusted expression. Boom. Suddenly, a huge fist image smashed into the road in front of the carriage, forming a huge hole. Long San, you bastard! Hua Wufang was blocking the path with a group of experts. There were over 40 people, including men and women. Long Chen's sharp eyes immediately saw Hua Jinrong's shovel-like face. Originally, the Hua family's higher-ups had been waiting for the carriage at the Hua family's headquarters. Because it was just taking a concubine, and not marrying a wife, the rules were that the groom's side of the family wouldn't make huge movements. That was to display their status and honor. Only if Hua Wufang was having an official wedding with a wife would these experts come out. This was the status distinction between a wife and a concubine. So today, all the experts had been indoors. This was to avoid having the future first wife be offended. But when the time had arrived, the Hua family's people still hadn't appeared, not a single one of them. That had caused the Hua family's people's expressions to sink. Hua Wufang was the junior master of the family, and even if it was just taking a concubine, it was an extremely ceremonious and grand matter. But the Hua family dared to be late. Over an incense stick's worth of time, their expressions grew uglier. This was an insult to the Hua family. Just as their fury was soaring, someone finally came to report that the bridal procession had been stopped halfway. When he had heard that it had been done by Long San, Hua Wufang had almost exploded. Hua Changsheng pondered it, and in the end, he decided to let Hua Wufang settle this matter on his own. Hua Changsheng knew that the Fang and Chai families were having a trial of strength with him. If their two families only sent out juniors, then he couldn't send out true experts, or that would say he was powerless otherwise. Hua Wufang immediately gathered all the celestials who had come to congratulate him. They all volunteered to go, as they wanted to see what kind of monster Long San was to dare snatch Hua Wufang's concubine. But they had only just left the Hua family when they saw Hua Jinrong rushing over. Hua Jinrong explained what had happened. Of course, she didn't mind telling some extra details to make the story more interesting. Based on her words, Hua Biluo had intentionally seduced Long San. Her words made the two of them out to be an adulterer and seductress pair. Hua Wufang's head almost exploded. His woman hadn't just been taken away, she had even gone willingly. When Hua Wufang finally rushed over and saw the carriage, despite being prepared, he still coughed up blood. The procession hadn't changed. The person inside the carriage hadn't changed. The gaiety and cheer in the air hadn't changed. The only thing that had changed was that Hua Biluo had turned into Long San's wife. Hua Wufang, you're the bastard. Today is a great day of celebration for me. Fuck off while you still can. shouted Long Chen. You dare place your sights on my woman? If I don't play you to death, how would I be worthy of being a new and improved scoundrel? The cheers immediately stopped. Some people even fled to watch from a distance. Huo Wufang's face was truly a sight to see. His face was as green as a leaf, and his eyes were as red as blood. His 32 teeth were all clattering. It seemed that he wanted to bite Long Chen to death. Long San, Hua Biluo is to be brother Hua's officially wed concubine. Your actions today are even worse than a beast, cried a celestial behind Huo Wufang righteously. He was the one wearing the scholarly headband. Screw your mother. If you hadn't farted just now, I wouldn't have recognized you. You fucker, you were the one who kidnapped my woman yesterday. As soon as this person opened his mouth, Long Chen recognized his voice. He was one of the 8 people from yesterday. Out of the 8, he had been the one to speak the most. Long San, don't slander others. If you want to accuse someone, bring out your evidence, he sneered. Fuck off, I'm not a prosecutor. Don't bother playing this stupid game of evidence with me. Huo Wufang snatched my woman, and now I snatched his woman. Now everyone's even, sneered Long Chen. Hearing this, the spectators were dumbfounded. This Long San really was a straightforward and logical man. If you took one from him, he would take one from you. Did all the pill towers people play around like this? Long Chen waved his hand disdainfully, continuing, Don't waste your words with me. Right now, we're even, and neither side owes the other anything. You snatched my woman? Well, I don't want her anymore. I've snatched one back, and it's enough to break even. Inside the carriage, Hua Biluo had been shocked to see Huo Wufang bring so many experts. She had panicked, but then seeing Long Chen wasn't the slightest bit nervous and even dared to curse back, she was much more relieved. The only thing she was confused about was how Long Chen's woman had been snatched. According to his character, if someone dared to touch his woman, he would take that guy's life without saying another word. She didn't understand. What nonsense. Yesterday, they didn't even manage to snatch. Huo Wufang quickly realized his mistake and shut his mouth. But it was too late. As expected, Huo Wufang, you bastard, you finally admitted that you actually sent people to kidnap someone in my manor. Do you treat the Fang family as a soft persimmon? Fang Chang immediately cursed Huo Wufang. He had already gotten used to acting the same way as Long Chen. Originally, he and Chai Liehua had paid a great deal of attention to their status as junior masters of their families. But under Long Chen's guidance, they had finally learned to spout profanities as well. After all, the 3 of them were a team. They couldn't allow Long Chen to be the only one in the spotlight. Furthermore, Huo Wufang had no way to reply now. Huo Wufang was at a loss for words. He had an urge to slap himself in the face. How had his mouth become this stupid? He had essentially admitted he had sent people to do that crime. Do you think someone's accidental slip of the tongue is enough to accuse them? Long San, as expected, all you know how to do is twist people's words, sneered the scholarly celestial. He was giving Huo Wufang a way out. But did he think everyone here was stupid? Just from Huo Wufang's expression, it was easy to see what had happened. It seemed Huo Wufang truly had gone to snatch Long San's woman. Now, Long San was snatching Huo Wufang's woman. The spectators anticipated watching the imminent battle very much. Who would win? And would Huo Wufang hand back Long San's woman? Since Long San's woman had been snatched for a night, would Long San also keep Huo Wufang's woman for a night and only then return her? If he were to only give her back to him after a night, the question was, would Huo Wufang even want her? Just at this moment, Long Chen unexpectedly disappeared. When he once more appeared, he was in front of that scholarly celestial. Pow! With an incredibly loud sound, the celestial was viciously slapped by Long Chen. Huo Wufang's people were all infuriated. This was completely intolerable. They were just about to attack when Long Chen had already retreated. But now he was holding the scholarly celestial's throat. The celestial was filled with terror. But at this moment, one of the corrupt celestial's expression changed and he shouted, "Speak! Where did you learn the netherworld ghost steps?" Idiot, I'm using the Gale Inferno steps. Are you blind? Do you not see the flames beneath my feet? Sneered Long Chen. But Long Chen was startled inside. Just now, he truly had used the Netherworld Ghost steps. It was an extremely peculiar technique, and he couldn't tell whether it was a battle skill or a magical art. As his strength increased, the speed of the Netherworld Ghost steps also increased. He truly could move like a phantom, making it so people couldn't even defend. When it came to close-range attacks, it was truly a great assistance. But Long Chen was smart. When he had used it, he had summoned some flames on his feet. Then it would seem very similar to the Gale Inferno steps, a technique of the Pill Tower. Despite doing this, it had still been recognized by the corrupt Celestial. But all Long Chen had to do was refuse to admit it, and he wouldn't be able to do anything to him. Long Chen was too lazy to bother with him. A faint cyan fluctuation appeared on the scholarly Celestial's forehead. A powerful spiritual spike slowly condensed over Long Chen's forehead and began to drop down toward the Celestial's head. Right now, in front of everyone, I will use Soul Heart Ask Thorn Art. In front of my spiritual thorn, you don't have the ability to lie. Because if you do, my spiritual thorn will sense it from your spiritual fluctuations and immediately stab into your soul, turning you into a corpse. Of course, if you think your soul is stronger than a pill emperor's, you can try lying. The spiritual thorn arrived just above the Celestial's forehead. He immediately felt like his soul was almost frozen. In this situation, he had to reply to whatever Long Chen asked him. Any lie would release a fluctuation that would be sensed by the spiritual thorn. Even Long Chen wouldn't be able to stop the thorn from killing him. So right now, his life and death were up to himself. Long San, you are courting death, raged Huo Wufeng. If this continued, he would be completely exposed. Long Chen ignored him. Icily staring at the Celestial, he asked, "Did you go to the Fang Manor yesterday?" The Celestial was sweating, but in the end, he couldn't muster the courage to lie. He nodded. "Did you go to capture a woman?" "Was the one who told you to do that Huo Wufeng?" Suddenly, a black light shot toward Long Chen's head. It was incredibly fast, and even Long Chen was shocked by it. He hastily dodged, flinging the Celestial in his hand toward it. The black light pierced straight through the Celestial's body, leaving a black hole. The curious thing was that no blood came out. That hole was black as coal. Long Chen's expression changed, and he hastily tossed the Celestial into the air. Everyone was appalled to see that the Celestial had already died. The hole was rapidly growing. Before his body landed on the ground, he had been corroded to nothing. The air was filled with a disgusting stench now, one that made people want to vomit. Everyone's expressions changed and they hastily retreated. The corrupt path was truly vicious. It was unknown what that black light had been, but it had been able to one-shot a Celestial. Long Chen was shocked. That black light was too strange that even he didn't know what it was. All he knew was that it had come from an extremely strange-looking man standing beside Huo Wufeng. That person's eyes were white and black. The black one was completely black, and the white one was completely white. It was extremely frightening. Fang Chang and Chai Liehua jumped in fright. This was their first time seeing such a strange attack. Even a Celestial could be instantly killed by it. Enchanted weapon. Long Chen's heart shook. This was definitely an attack from an enchanted weapon, or there would be no way it could release such a power. But that person had used it silently, and he hadn't seen what kind of weapon it was. It was truly chilling. Following the death of the Celestial, the spectators who had just been watching for fun all turned cold. This was no competition of strength. Even a Celestial could be instantly killed. It had to be known that Celestials were incomparably high existences in their eyes. But here, one had noiselessly fallen. Long Chen suddenly began to clap, breaking the silence. Not bad, very beautiful. What a good way of silencing someone. Not only did you silence the witness, but you even cut down a future enemy. You even have won a favor from Huo Wufeng. Amazing, truly amazing. Now that Long Chen said this, the righteous Celestials by Huo Wufeng's side all looked suspiciously at the attacker. Idiot I Wu Ming would disdain doing such a thing. Do you think I'm as stupid as the righteous path? sneered the odd-looking corrupt celestial. You! The righteous celestials immediately became enraged. The corrupt path's people truly went too far. Even in front of this many people, he dared to insult them. Don't fall for Long San's provocations, Huo Wufang hastily shouted upon seeing a quarrel about to start on his side. He pointed at Long Chen. Long San, release Hua Biluo and this matter can end here. Otherwise, not waiting for Huo Wufang to finish speaking, Long Chen smiled and opened the carriage, pulling out Hua Biluo. Hua Biluo is my wife. You want to snatch my wife? Your brain must have been eaten by maggots. Long Chen intentionally wrapped his arm around Hua Biluo's waist, acting completely unbridled. Despite knowing he was doing this to infuriate Huo Wufang, Hua Biluo still turned red. Her body became limp, and she actually leaned against Long Chen's body. But in other people's eyes, the two of them were clearly being intimate. This made it seem like they were the true couple. You slut! Raged Huo Wufang. He charged forward. Long Chen coldly snorted and placed Hua Biluo behind him. He smashed his fist forward. Boom! The entire road shattered. Both Huo Wufang and Long Chen were blown back dozens of meters. Long Chen was shocked inside. Although he had forced back Huo Wufang, his own hand was sore. Huo Wufang's strength didn't lose to his own. What was going on? Everyone attack! Kill them! Huo Wufang waved his hand, and the celestials following him all charged forward. Although Hua Biluo had confidence in Long Chen, seeing over 30 celestials charging forward made her heart rise to her throat. Those celestials all summoned their heavenly Tao manifestations. They knew they couldn't be careless against Long San. Wall of raging flames. Suddenly, a huge wall of flames appeared, and it blocked the celestials. Those celestials had to hastily stop. These were no ordinary flames. This was a magical art used by a sea expansion expert. That terrifying heat was irresistible. Do you think you can use numbers to win? Do you think my Fang family lacks people? Fang Mingyuan appeared in front of the flames. That caused startled cries from the spectators. The Fang family head was someone many people recognized. That was a powerful overlord of this region, and he was supporting Long San. Following Fang Mingyuan, Chai Gaoyang also appeared. It wasn't just them. Dozens of sea expansion experts also appeared. Long Chen smiled slightly. This was something he had planned with Fang Mingyuan. Just now, Long Chen had had an urge to kill all these celestials. In his eyes, they weren't celestials, but many heavenly Tao fruits. Currently, only Tang Waner and Meng Qi were celestials. He also had another 8 heavenly Tao fruits. However, he didn't dare give them to others to use. Just the fact that Tang Waner and Meng Qi had awakened as celestials was shocking enough to the Xiantian Dao sect. If that many more celestials also appeared at the same time, it would be strange if no one found it suspicious. Currently, quite a bit of time had passed since the Julie secret realm. But the primal chaos bead had not been completely forgotten. On the off chance that someone connected the new celestials with the primal chaos bead, then Long Chen would be in grave danger. So he decided to temporarily not use them. This kind of thing wouldn't spoil no matter how many he collected. Seeing this sudden change, Long Chen pulled Hua Biluo over to the side to watch the excitement. Fang Mingyuan, Chai Gaoyang, are you planning on fighting to the death with my Hua family? Suddenly, a cold shout rang out. Everyone hastily turned to see hundreds of experts walking over. They were all sea expansion experts with Hua Changsheng leading them. Fight to the death? Why would you say something like that? Long San is a member of my Fang family. Since his woman was snatched, he naturally has to snatch one back. Everyone's even, and there's nothing wrong with that. Why harm our amicability? Asked Fang Mingyuan. Long Chen also laughed. Exactly. Games are only there to be played. Don't laugh when you win but then rage shamelessly when you lose. That would make the Hua family seem too tasteless. You snatched my woman, and so I don't want her anymore. You should learn from me. Look at how magnanimous I am. This is what it means to accept both wins and losses. Do you understand? Everyone was speechless. By now, many people had already asked around and learned what had happened. Long San's woman had just been a whore bought from a brothel. But Huo Wufang's woman was someone he was to be officially wed to, a concubine. How was that the same? Furthermore, if the Huo family really allowed their woman to be snatched away, considering how many guests the Huo family had invited, how were they supposed to face them? Stop twisting logic. Hua Biluo must be returned to my Huo family. Anyone who tries to stop me will be killed, roared Huo Changxing. He definitely couldn't allow this matter to continue. Alright, since you want to be so stubborn, we can only accompany you to the end. The people watching, you should run for your lives while you still can. A life and death battle is about to occur here, shouted Fang Mingyuan. Following that, all the Fang and Chai families' experts released their powerful auras, ready to fight. Everyone stop. Suddenly, a shout rang out. Long Chen smiled. He had known he would come. The person he had expected to come had come. But what was not within Long Chen's expectations was that while the tower administrator had come, the person speaking wasn't him. It was a lean elder whose eyes released a warm light. Instead of looking strict and icy, he seemed like a kind senior. But what shocked everyone was that the tower administrator was actually behind that elder. He seemed extremely solemn, and he didn't say a word. When Huo Changxing and the others saw the design on the elder's robes, their expressions completely changed and they hastily bowed. Disciple greets tower ancestor. Seeing this, everyone was dumbfounded. They hastily followed their footsteps and bowed. Long Chen was also stunned. The tower administrator had once warned him that the tower ancestor was coming. Long Chen had thought that everyone would know when the tower ancestor arrived. But now he realized that none of them had been aware. He suddenly realized that Chai Liehua and Fang Chang had probably forgotten to warn their family heads. Just as Long Chen was hesitating over whether or not he should bow, the tower ancestor waved his hand. You can dispense the formalities. It really must be nice to be young. Seeing your attitudes today, it seems that if I didn't appear, you were prepared to raise the pill tower to the ground. Huo Changxing hastily explained, Tower ancestor, please help disciple obtain justice. My Huo family's bride was forcibly snatched by someone, and we had no choice but to counterattack. The tower ancestor smiled. Oh, so such a thing happened? How interesting. Who would be so brazen as to snatch your Huo family's bride? Reporting to tower ancestor, it was this little one, said Long Chen. Why would you do this? Asked the tower ancestor. Well, there were two reasons. One was that he snatched my woman yesterday, said Long Chen slightly awkwardly. And the other reason? The other reason? Damn it, it really is irritating. Huo Wufang's woman was actually even more beautiful than mine, so I had to take her, said Long Chen. Hua Biluo stiffened. Just what was Long Chen doing? Although that elder's cultivation base was hidden, the pressure that came from him was something that made it so others weren't even able to look him in the eye. For Long Chen to dare say such words, was he trying to make a joke? Long San, pay attention to your words, shouted the tower administrator. This was for Long San's own good, as the tower ancestor possessed a grand status. Haha. No one had expected that the tower ancestor would suddenly laugh. It really is nice to be young. You dare to do anything. Seeing that the tower ancestor wasn't angry with Long Chen and actually praised him, Huo Changxing had a bad feeling. He hastily said, Tower ancestor, Long San is simply spouting shameless nonsense. My Huo family never ordered anyone to go to the Fang family. The tower ancestor said, How interesting. One of you says the other snatched their woman, while the other says the former is shameless. I don't know how many years it has been since someone dared to lie in front of me. Well then, let me be the judge for this. Are you willing to take the test? The tower ancestor's meaning was extremely obvious. He was going to use the same kind of soul-heart-ask thorn art that Long Chen had used. That was the simplest way of finding the truth. Long Chen suddenly said, How could this kind of small matter be worth you personally doing? I can give you a very simple proof. Long Chen pointed to Huo Wufang. Did you send 8 of your Huo family's guests out yesterday? No. Huo Wufang naturally wouldn't admit it. Long Chen threw out a medicinal pill, and it exploded in the air. Seeing the particles slowly blowing away in the wind, everyone was confused as to what he was doing. What? Suddenly, people let out startled cries. They saw that 7 of the people behind Huo Wufang had turned black. Their skin was as black as the bottom of a pot. What was going on? It wasn't just their face. Their hands, their necks, any part of their skin that was exposed was pitch black. Idiots, you dared to be unbridled in an alchemist's home. Did you think I wouldn't be able to catch you? Did you think alchemists don't put up any defenses? When you barged into my room to kidnap my woman, you activated the 9-color spirit pill I set up in advance. This pill isn't for consuming, but for defense. It affects anyone who breathes in its scent. Even holding your breath has no use because it will enter through your pores. There, it will lie in wait for the next year. I don't know about other alchemist habits, but I always set this up where I live. I know people always like to sneak into my room when I'm not there. Just now, what I used was the special color powder. It has spread onto everyone here, and it's silent and odorless. Of course, it's not some poison. It's just that anyone who has breathed in the powder of the 9-color spirit will have their skin turn pitch black. Most importantly, this color sinks deep into your flesh. Even scrubbing off your skin has no use. Your new skin will still be black. But don't worry, the medicinal effect doesn't last that long. It will fade in just 10 years. But for the next 10 years, you had best accustom yourselves to being black, said Long Chen. 10 years? Not a long time? Seeing those black figures, everyone's expressions were odd. How would they go out to see others with such appearances? The only things white on their bodies were their teeth and their eyes. This was too evil. How could celestials, with their grand statuses, go out like this? But there was one benefit for them: they would be less noticeable at night. Yesterday, 8 of you came. Just now, you killed one of them, so there are only 7 left. Junior Master Hua, please give me an explanation for this, said Long Chen to Huo Wufang. Huo Wufang was immediately speechless. He hadn't expected Long Chen had long since obtained proof. Now that it had been exposed in front of the tower ancestor, he didn't have any opportunity to make a comeback. Why aren't you saying anything? You can say that they have nothing to do with you, reminded Long Chen. I had no idea about this matter, raged Huo Wufang. You didn't know about it? Didn't you already admit to it just now? Everyone heard it. Furthermore, weren't they all at your Hua family yesterday? Sneered Long Chen. Huo Wufang began to sweat. This move of his was too vicious. He had no way to admit to this. Cough, those children are just too young and not sensible enough. It's common for them to do foolish things in their hot-headedness. Wufang had no idea about this matter. Let me take his place to apologize to you, said Hua Changxing. Teach, does an apology have any use? Stretch your neck out here and let me cut it with my blade. Then I'll apologize to you, said Long Chen disdainfully. Long San, all things have their reasons. My Hua family might have been in the wrong this time, but you also went too far. Don't try to act like the victim. Don't go too far. Hua Changxing had a stomach full of fury, but in front of the tower ancestor he didn't dare release it. However, the threat in his words was obvious. Don't go too far? Just how laughable is this phrase when it comes from your Hua family's mouth? Your Hua family has committed so many atrocities, but who dares to bully you? If anyone tried, wouldn't they be killed by you? It's just like Long Chen. In the Chaos region, your Hua family secretly incited the corrupt path into killing him. Just who is going too far? What nonsense! Don't slander others. Hua Changxing was infuriated, but also incomparably shocked. This matter was something only the higher-ups of the Xintiandao sect knew of. To protect this secret, the Hua family had paid a huge sum of hush money. The Xintiandao sect was an enormous existence. It was so powerful that they didn't even need to send someone to Huo Wufang's wedding. In reality, the Xintiandao sect's headquarters had relationships with Pill Valley. They could simply ignore the Hua family. The Xintiandao sect had required compensation for what the Hua family had done to Long Chen. But this compensation was mostly for the Shui family, or the Shui family might continue to make a huge deal out of this. After making the Hua family pay a painful price, the Xiantian Dao sect hadn't mentioned this topic again. It was completely unexpected for Long San to raise it now. Not only was Hua Changxing shocked and infuriated, he was also a bit panicked. It had to be known that the Tower ancestor possessed an extremely high status and authority. The Tower ancestors were in charge of selecting talented people to bring to Pill Valley. Although this Tower ancestor wasn't in charge of disciplinary actions, if he were to report this, their Hua family would be doomed. Slander others? Am I, Long San, someone who would do that? I'm sure everyone will understand once they see this. Long Chen directly activated a photographic jade. When a scene appeared in midair, Hua Changxing's expression completely changed. That scene was the same one the Xiantian Dao sect had shown him. Space suddenly trembled. That scene had only just appeared when the Tower ancestor waved his hand. The image froze and then faded. We've gone off topic. Continuing like this will have no end. I'm rather old and my time is precious. Let's handle this matter quicker. I understand the general situation. Your Hua family truly did kidnap Long San's woman. Tower ancestor, we didn't, cried Hua Wufeng. The Tower ancestor waved his hand. Whether or not you did, Long San has proof that you kidnapped her, while you have no proof that you didn't. Yesterday, you snatched Long San's woman, and today, Long San snatched your woman. The result is that Long San is satisfied, but you are displeased, feeling like you lost out. Then how about this? We will follow the traditional rules of the world to settle this. This is what it means for a champion to have beauties. You two can have a decisive battle, and the winner will obtain the beauty. Do you accept? I accept. I've long since found this fellow to be displeasing. This time, I'll give him a proper beating, said Long Chen. This situation was all too perfect. To give Hua Wufeng a vicious beating at this time, what could be better? Hua Wufeng glared at Long Chen, his eyes practically spitting flames. I also, Hua Wufeng accepts his defeat. Suddenly, Hua Changxing's words caused everyone to be stunned. This concession shocked everyone, including Long Chen. This was admitting defeat. Not only would they lose their woman, but they would also lose all their faces. Grandfather. Hua Wufeng was extremely unwilling. It's just a woman. If you want to play, you have to be able to accept losing. Furthermore, with your status, what woman couldn't you get? Hua Changxing turned to Long Chen. This time, my Hua family admits defeat. But this game still isn't over. The final winner is something we'll only know in the future. As for you, you're just a chess piece. When you run out of use, I want to see just what you'll do. After saying that, Hua Changxing didn't give Long Chen any chance to reply. He directly bowed to the Tower ancestor and led his people away. Bang! A delicate jade chessboard was viciously thrown to the ground, shattering into pieces. It was like the destruction of this chessboard could relieve some of Hua Wufeng's anger. Grandfather, why did you have me admit defeat? I'm confident in being able to kill Long San. Raged Hua Wufeng. You're looking down on Long San too much. He's extremely strong. If you were to fight now, you'd only have a 50% chance of winning. For a woman, you would expose your strength? It's extremely unworthy. Right now, this game of chess has only been half played. The Fong family has managed to obtain a strong piece, and the situation seems favorable to them for now. But that doesn't mean that they have any chance of winning. Furthermore, your bones haven't completely adapted to you. You still need more time. When they're perfectly adapted, won't you be able to exterminate Long San with a wave of your hand? The most important thing for you is to focus on the finals. If you can take first place, then the Fong and Chai families will all die without a burial ground, said Hua Changxing. Hua Wufeng said, but that Long San is extremely strange. His alchemy arts are too profound to see through. If I killed him today, wouldn't first place be in my pocket? Hua Changxing shook his head. You're thinking too simply. Even assuming you could defeat him, the Tower ancestor wouldn't have let you kill him. Hua Wufeng said, what cultivation base does the Tower ancestor have for you to be this deferential to him? Hua Changxing sighed. Originally, I thought that the person in charge of the Pill Emperor competition would be the tower administrator. I never expected a tower ancestor to personally come. The reason I have to be deferential toward him is both because of his supreme authority as well as the fact that he is an ancestor-level expert. Ancestor level? What realm is that? Asked Hua Wufang. The ancestor level is just a nickname, referring to the leaders and ancestors of the top sections. Their actual realm is above sea expansion and is called foundation forging. Foundation forging experts are peak existences in the Eastern Wasteland. Such experts only exist within the supreme sections. But such figures are so powerful that we rarely come into contact with them. Let alone foundation forging experts, I've rarely even seen any half-step foundation forging experts, said Hua Changxing. Grandfather, aren't you at the peak of sea expansion? According to reason, aren't you just one step away from foundation forging? That's not entirely correct. The so-called sea expansion realm refers to expanding the Qi Sea. The goal is to push the Qi Sea to the greatest possible size. Someone at sea expansion has more than 100 times the spiritual yuan of someone at the peak of the Xiantian realm. The Xiantian realm is just a stepping stone. Only when you reach sea expansion will your Qi Sea grow to an immense size. It won't just be able to store spiritual yuan, but you'll also be able to summon your Qi Sea manifestation when you fight. Only by reaching sea expansion can you truly control heaven and earth's energy, using magical arts to kill your opponents. It is a dividing line in the cultivation world. Celestials are said to be able to battle across realms. In Meridian Opening, they can dominate the Xiantian realm. But celestials that reach the Xiantian realm will find it difficult to fight against sea expansion. That's because sea expansion experts can rely on their control of natural energy to resist the suppression of the cry of the heavenly Daos. So although there are some Xiantian celestials capable of fighting sea expansion experts, that only refers to the early stage. Being able to fight against the mid-stage is not very likely, let alone the late stage. Well, in truth, even knowing these things doesn't have any use to you. You should adjust your mental state and focus on alchemy. Reach your peak state for the finals. Yes, grandfather. I know. I'll take first place, and at that time, when the Chai and Fang families are exterminated, I'll personally handle Long San and that slut Hua Biluo. I'll make them live a life worse than death. Hua Wufang clenched his teeth. Long Chen couldn't help feeling like something was strange as he watched Hua Changxing and the others leave. This was a bit off from his expectations. Was the Hua family really just going to accept this loss? Although he didn't really understand it, at least Hua Biluo's matter was settled. Long Chen cupped his fists toward the Tower Ancestor. Tower Ancestor is truly righteous and impartial, all-seeing and insightful, incorruptible, brilliant, and intelligent. Long San thanks you for carrying out justice. Chai Liehua and Fang Chong couldn't help but admire Long San. Just how had he cultivated his face? He didn't even feel embarrassed about saying such fawning words. Are all the children these days so interesting? You can continue with what you were doing. This old man doesn't have the energy to accompany you. I am in charge of the finals, so try not to mess around too much. I won't be able to keep up. After saying that, the Tower Ancestor directly left. The Tower Administrator hastily followed. Fang Mingyuan and Chai Gaoyang hastily bowed. His final words were clearly a warning to them. While the competition was still going on, they should be more careful. Although the Tower Ancestor seemed like a benevolent senior, this kind of person's fury never revealed itself on the face. But if they did anger him, they would be doomed. The Fang and Chai families' people also left now. In the end, Long San was the greatest winner. He had managed to snatch Hua Wufang's woman. This news traveled throughout the large powers. It was absolutely shocking. Despite how powerful the Hua family was, their bride had been snatched away. It was said that the Hua family was indescribably furious because of this, and they went to the Hua family and cursed them. They threatened them, saying that if they didn't give the Hua family a satisfactory explanation, they should just wait for the consequences. Obviously, the Hua family was releasing their rage on the Hua family. Due to Hua Biluo, the Hua family had lost all their face. Long Chen ignored all of this. When he returned to the Fong family, he directly brought Hua Biluo to his new room. "Ha, a beauty Hua, we meet again," he laughed. Long Chen had always owed Hua Biluo a debt. Although Hua Biluo had originally chosen to stay neutral in the final battle of the Jiuli secret realm due to Hua Wufang's threat, she had still firmly stood by Long Chen's side when the corrupt path had joined in. Long Chen had been in a desperate situation back then. For her to have helped him at that time was not just because of their cooperation. It involved the trust between them. "Long Chen, you really are a demon." Hua Biluo didn't know whether to laugh or cry. It was like it was fated that wherever Long Chen went, pandemonium would follow. He always did things out of people's expectations. Hee, why stay bored? It's much more fun for everyone to laugh and celebrate together. Long Chen laughed and had Hua Biluo sit, handing her a cup of tea. "Here, taste some of this 5-flavor mythic pine tea. Hee, this is something special to the Pill Tower, and outsiders can't even buy it." Hua Biluo smiled and received the tea. Lightly sipping it, a burst of fragrance enveloped her. Just a sip of this could completely refresh a person's mind. "It seems you have it very good here. Are you planning on changing professions?" Hua Biluo smiled. "Why would I change professions? Alchemy is just a side hobby. It was the Hua family who attacked me first. All I'm doing is striking back. Hee, I'm not doing too bad. In this first round, I managed to win such a beautiful wife," teased Long Chen. Hua Biluo reddened and rebuked. "If you tease me like this, it'd be strange if Tang Wanner didn't beat you into a pancake when she finds out." "Her. Tease, you underestimate her." Long Chen shook his head. "What? She won't beat you?" asked Hua Biluo. "I said you underestimated her. I was referring to how you said she'd beat me into a pancake. You just don't understand her. When she beats up people, she never cares about the shape," sighed Long Chen. A helpless expression appeared on his face. It had been a long time since he had bullied that fiery girl. Who knew how much she missed him right now? Hua Biluo covered her mouth and laughed. "Ha, you are really entertaining. No wonder all those peerless beauties are so devoted to you." Long Chen shamelessly said, "But of course. Isn't that why I previously said that if you go with me, you'll wake up every morning from laughter?" Hua Biluo blushed. She recalled her acting with him. Thinking of her intimate actions, she couldn't help being embarrassed. Seeing that Hua Biluo wasn't used to this kind of teasing, Long Chen changed the subject. "What are your plans now?" Hua Biluo sighed sadly. "What can I do? My family has already abandoned me. They clearly knew what kind of person Hua Wufang was, but to curry favor, they still gave me away." Her voice might be calm, but her eyes were filled with unwillingness and anger. Recalling those apathetic faces, she was filled with endless hate. Long Chen asked some simple questions about her situation. She was truly in a pitiful state. She had no one to rely on. He hesitated for a moment. In the end, he made his determination. "Hua Biluo, if I could let you become a celestial, what would you do?" "What?" In the end, Long Chen still decided to make Hua Biluo a celestial. After all, her current situation was because of him. A man should take responsibility. But Long Chen didn't directly give her a heavenly Dao fruit. Instead, he decided that he would refine the heavenly Dao fruit into a medicinal pill first. One reason was because he didn't want her to know about the heaven-defying heavenly Dao fruits he had. He couldn't reveal this to anyone he didn't have absolute trust in. The other reason was that this was beneficial to Hua Biluo. She would be able to refine it even faster. That night, Hua Biluo slept in Long Chen's room. Although she was already a Xiantian expert, she had been tormented mentally for many days. She was exhausted. Having finally had all her burdens relieved, she slept peacefully on Long Chen's bed. On the other hand, Long Chen didn't sleep. He was busy thinking of a follow-up plan. From the top to the bottom, there was no one good in the Hua family. This time, he would pull them out by their roots. His original plan had to be put on pause. From the Tower ancestors' words, It was obvious he wouldn't allow them to do anything during this time. He would have to wait until after the competition, until after the tower ancestor and the others had left. Fang Mingyuan had told Long Chen that although their two families were not as strong as the Hua family, they still had the ability to fight them. The only problem was that the Hua family had too many guests. They were their henchmen, and they possessed terrifying strength. However, if Long Chen could take first place, the situation would reverse. Those people siding with the Hua family would likely change sides to become neutral. Before they knew who the final winner would be, they wouldn't rashly choose a side. Seems like I really must get the first place. But I still don't know what the prize is. I really look forward to it. Long Chen sipped his tea. Only now did he realize the day had already brightened. Seeing Hua Biluo was still peacefully sleeping, he knew just how much she must have suffered these days. He didn't disturb her. Gently opening the door and closing it behind him, he took a breath of fresh air. He went to go find Fang Chang. But he had only just left his room when he saw Fang Chang and Chai Liehua sitting there, chatting. Fang Chang, do you know? Yesterday, I did it 5 times with Zhenzhen. Zhenzhen practically soared into the heavens, said Chai Liehua arrogantly. Whenever men mentioned this topic, they always felt so confident. That's nothing. I did it 7 times yesterday, and Shueihua worships me to death. She said I'm the most amazing man in the world. Fang Chang naturally wouldn't show weakness. Who knew whether or not he was telling the truth, but he was plenty confident. Suddenly seeing Long Chen walk over, Fang Chang called out, "Third master, how many times did you do it last night?" Long Chen knew the two of them were teasing him intentionally. Once. Really, just once? How embarrassing. As expected, the two of them immediately laughed. Long Chen sat inside. Staring into the distance, he helplessly said, "I know. We only did it once. But when the sky brightened, she begged me to take a break." The two of them were silent for a long while before Fang Chang finally patted Long Chen on the shoulder. "Third master, your show-off abilities truly are unrivaled. The two of us need to continue learning." Long Chen said, "Let's stop talking nonsense. There isn't much time until the finals. I'm going into seclusion to practice my alchemy." "You're going into seclusion again? You really are a monster." "I have no choice. Although my spiritual strength is powerful, my foundation isn't even half as good as you two. I'm lacking alchemy experience. So I have a great deal of room for improvement. Even if it's right before the competition, I have to increase my skills. Each little bit is a greater chance that I can defeat Huo Wufeng. I don't have time to waste." Fang Chang and Chai Liehua felt a deep veneration for him. Refining pills was an extremely boring, extremely bitter process. You had to stay completely focused the entire time and be filled with trepidation as you waited to see if you succeeded or not. Fang Chang and Chai Liehua had also gone into seclusion for a few days, practicing their alchemy until they wanted to puke. Seeing how devoted Long Chen was to alchemy, they couldn't help but lament. Perhaps if they had Long Chen's work ethic, the two of them wouldn't be that much weaker than Huo Wufeng. "Can you give me a private room, preferably a bigger one? I want to go into seclusion with Hua Biluo. After all, I don't want him to snatch my woman away again. And as for the other reason, when I'm tired from refining, you understand," laughed Long Chen. "Of course, we understand. We're men." Long San, this creativity of yours really is good. I think I'll try it next time too. When I get tired of refining, I can also relax." Fang Chang smiled mischievously. Chai Liehua also nodded, a worshipful expression on his face. "Yes, I definitely have to try that too. If it works, maybe we'll go down in history as innovators." Yes, I'm going to go into seclusion and try it right now." As a result, Long Chen obtained an extremely spacious room for himself. The thing that made Long Chen smile bitterly was that there was a huge, gorgeous bed in the room. "Those two big bros really put in a lot of effort," sighed Long Chen. "What is this bed for?" Hua Biluo couldn't help questioning this luxurious bed. It was her first time seeing a seclusion room with such a bed. Long Chen hastily spouted some nonsense to conceal the matter. He then began to refine pills. The first pill was very simple. It was just drawing out the energy contained within the heavenly Tao fruit and condensing it into a pill. He gave it to Hua Biluo, and she quickly entered a meditative state. Long Chen then took out over 100 precious medicinal ingredients. These were for the Enlightenment Palace pill. He had gathered them all once Huo Wufang had given him the last one. However, too many things had popped up during this time, and he hadn't had any time to refine. Now he finally had the chance and couldn't help getting excited. With each star of the 9-star He Gem Embody art he condensed, his combat strength would undergo heaven-toppling changes. For example, when he had condensed the 3rd star, the divine ring had actually been able to resist the cry of the heavenly Taos. It was unknown what would happen once he condensed the 4th star. Long Chen carefully began to refine the ingredients. A blue flame soared in Long Chen's hand. Its power caused him to be pleasantly surprised. Hua Long, you got even stronger. A blue flame dragon flew out of Long Chen's hand. It was 3 feet long, looking like a tiny serpent. It coiled around Long Chen's arm intimately. Long Chen saw that Hua Long had become an even denser shade of blue compared to before. Its power had also greatly increased. Most importantly, its control over its own strength had risen a great deal. It wasn't as berserk as before. Nice. With your help, I'll be able to refine several times faster. Long Chen laughed. The stronger Hua Long became, the more beneficial it would be to him. He quickly refined the ingredients into powders. Hua Long was truly amazing now. Each ingredient was refined in just a few breaths' time. Furthermore, it was also much easier for Long Chen to control the flame now. Slowly adding the powders into the pill furnace, Long Chen paid constant attention to the merger. The Enlightenment Palace pill was something that didn't exist in the outside world. The outside world had no pill formula for it, and so there was also no tier for it. Although the ingredients required for it were all 6th-tier ingredients, its difficulty was extremely high. Even amongst 6th-tier pills, it would be counted as an extremely difficult one. Those that could refine 6th-tier pills were known as pill ancestors. They were people on the level of Hua Changxing, Fang Mingyuan, and Chai Gaoyang. They were people who had refined pills for a lifetime. Only then did they earn such an appellation. Because alchemists focused on cultivating their core flame, their cultivation bases didn't advance quickly. So once alchemists reached the Xiantian realm, their cultivation bases would advance slower. Bang! Ah! Long Chen sighed. Looking at the ashes in the pill furnace, he felt helpless. The Enlightenment Palace pill's formula that had appeared in his head did not go into detail. It was different from the previous Feng Fu pill, Alioth pill, and Life Fate pill. Therefore, he had to study how to refine it properly on his own. It seems the pill god memories are actually lacking a great deal. Long Chen felt helpless. He still had no idea why only such a small portion of the pill god memories would be in his mind. Pill God, you can forget the rest of your memories, but don't forget the pill formulas for the 9-star He Gem Embody art. Long Chen said his prayers. Without a true Dantian, and his spirit root, spirit blood, and spirit bone having been taken, then if he also didn't have the 9-star He Gem Embody art, he'd have long since reincarnated. Again. Long Chen clenched his teeth. In any case, he had as many medicinal ingredients as he needed. Bang. Again, a pile of ashes appeared in his pill furnace. Long Chen took out a piece of paper and wrote, "The 7-star grass cannot be directly merged with the mythic reap fruit." This was Long Chen's first time refining such a difficult pill. He had to rely on himself. He knew of the taboos between the ingredients, but once 3 or more were merged, the medicinal properties became muddled. Long Chen tested it over and over, writing down his conclusions. He needed to pile up his experience first before merging the powders. His page was already filled with countless pieces of data from his countless failures. But he knew that each failure brought him one step closer to success. Failure eliminated one faulty process. The more he failed, the closer he got to the right process. When the page's front and back had been completely filled with his data, Long Chen finally sighed. He had found the right method to merge the ingredients. Long Chen had only just sighed when a rumbling noise came from the distant Hua Biluo. "She's finished." Long Chen was startled. She had actually finished so quickly. Just as Long Chen was awoken from his research, a line of red words appeared on his wall. The finals are about to start. In front of the 7-treasure jewel tower, Long Chen was still a bit befuddled. How had time passed so quickly? There had still been several days, but they had passed in an instant. He had only just figured out the correct merger process for the Enlightenment Palace pill, and he hadn't even had a chance to refine it when he was pulled into the finals. It was still the same arena, but the feeling was different. It felt much more expansive, as the 1,000 stages had been mostly taken away. Only 89 remained. There was still a sea of people outside. Because it was the finals, even more people had come. Even martial artists had come to gain experience. Hey, what are you pushing for? Are you blind? A white-robed man cursed at a man from the corrupt path. Currently, Pyongyang City was filled with countless experts. They had all come to watch the fun, and there were members from both the righteous and corrupt paths. Do you want to die? Raged the corrupt man. If it wasn't forbidden to fight here, he would have already killed this idiot. You're the one who wants to die. Do you want to try touching a hair on my head? Tsh. The white-robed man spat on the ground and sneered disdainfully. Just wait. Don't let me see you on the battlefield. Raged the corrupt man. He found a different place to watch from. Ah! Suddenly, a woman's sharp cry rang out in the crowd. Everyone turned to see it had come from a corrupt woman with a drawing of a fiend's head on her chest. But on that sinister fiend image were 2 large handprints. Those handprints were extremely clear. Bastard, you dare touch me? I'll kill you. The corrupt woman's fury soared, and her sword came out of its sheath. She glared at the man in front of her. That man had a wronged expression. You can't blame me. There are too many people and it's too crowded. I was pushed in the chaos and I just grabbed whatever I could. Speaking of which, I really have to thank you. If it weren't for your large chest, I really would have fallen. Thank you, truly thank you. That man hastily bowed, but he still had a lecherous expression on his face. Furthermore, his hands were gesturing as if he were reliving that feeling. Ooh, your righteous path really is a bunch of idiots. All you know how to do is play your stupid plots. Just wait, one day I'll kill you all. She raged. But she couldn't attack here. She left, rousing a burst of heckling from the righteous path. At the same time, many flirtatious calls rang out. Suddenly, one man was sent flying by a slap in the face. Everyone hastily turned to see a large man cursing at him. You little fucker, are you blind? Can you not see that I'm a man? What are you touching my butt for? Long Chen was standing on his stage, looking at the chaotic crowd. He couldn't help shaking his head. The righteous path really only knew how to play these stupid games. All day, all they did was talk, but when it came to fighting the corrupt path, they all turned into weaklings. Long San, first place is mine. The competition hadn't started yet, but everyone had arrived at their positions. Ho Wufang was talking to Long Chen. Long Chen glanced at him and said, "First place from the bottom? I don't have any interest in that, so you can take it. Speaking of which, that girl Biluo really is not bad. Thank you very much. Do you see her cheering for me over there?" Ho Wufang followed his gaze and did see Hua Biluo. She was smiling in the crowd. In truth, she wasn't doing anything, but in Ho Wufang's eyes, she had come to cheer for Long Chen. That slut. Sooner or later, I'll make you all live a life worse than death. When it comes to sluttiness, can anyone in the world compare to you? You know, yesterday I watched the photographic jade of Long Chen breaking all your bones in the Julie secret realm. I really have to admire you. How did you endure all that pain without making a sound? What kind of feeling was that? Asked Long Chen curiously. Hearing this, Ho Wufang immediately felt a chill in his bones. That pain that Long Chen had given him was forever ingrained in his soul. As for how he hadn't made a sound back then, that was because he hadn't been able to. That level of pain was something that made a person unable to make a sound. Long San, you are looking to die. You're right here, So why would I be looking for more sheet? Your words don't have any logic. Huo Wufang took a deep breath. He felt like his lungs were about to burst. When it came to playing the game of tongues, Huo Wufang could not be compared to Long Chen. From just a few words, he was about to go berserk. The tower ancestor has arrived. Suddenly, a shout rang out. The crowd split apart as a group of people walked in. The person at the front was the tower ancestor. Behind him was the tower administrator. Other than the two of them, there were also more than 10 elders. Each of those elders had deep wrinkles, their faces almost looking like tree bark. If a mosquito landed on their face, then once they smiled, that mosquito would probably suffocate. Long Chen had heard from Fang Chang that other than the tower ancestor, other proctors from Pill Valley had come for this competition. These proctors were similar to patrolmen. They were old alchemists who had retired and most likely didn't have much lifespan left. Unable to refine pills anymore, they were sent out to do whatever they wanted until they died. But these old fellows had followed the Pill Dao their whole lives. Even if they had grown old, their vision was still sharp. If they had come to proctor the competition, then no one could cheat. The tower ancestor and the others stood at the top stage. The entire crowd had gone silent the instant they had arrived, the atmosphere immediately becoming tense. The tower ancestor looked over the crowd and nodded. The Pill Emperor competition occurs but once a century. Its goal is to select the finest talent for Pill Valley. In all the previous times, the top 10 would all be given the opportunity to continue their studies at Pill Valley. But this year is different. That's because in the past few years, Pill Valley has entered a flourishing period, and many geniuses are rising. This time, only the top 5 will have the qualifications to join Pill Valley. As for the prizes for first, second, and third place, they're distributed the same as always. As for what the prizes are? To tell the truth, even I don't know. An exquisite golden case appeared in his hand. He placed it on the table before him and said, "The prizes for the top 3 are right here." He opened the case, revealing 3 spatial rings. One was golden, one was silver, and one was bronze. I can tell you that the treasures inside these 3 spatial rings even cause me to be moved. So everyone do your best. After the tower ancestor finished speaking, he looked at the tower administrator. The tower administrator pressed a button beside him. "The pill you'll be refining today is this." Long Chen hastily looked down on his platform and saw a line of words appear. Overflowing sea expanding pill. Long Chen's heart shook. It was actually a 6th tier pill. This was something to be consumed by someone in the sea expansion realm. The sea expansion realm's goal was to increase the size of the Qi Sea, the bigger the better. But a person's ability was limited. Once you reached the sea expansion realm, your Qi Sea would reach a kind of limit, and it would become impossible to further increase its size through your own power. But this overflowing sea expanding pill could use medicinal energy to once more expand the Qi Sea. A sea expansion expert could consume 9 of them in their lifetime. These 9 times corresponded to once with every heaven stage. Each time they advanced, they could borrow the medicinal energy to expand their Qi Sea. This is impossible. Some of the competitors were completely dumbfounded. They were only at the Xiantian realm, but they wanted them to refine a 6th tier pill? That was too much. Normally, only sea expansion alchemists could refine 6th tier pills. Most importantly, refining a 6th tier pill was extremely difficult and had harsh requirements toward a person's spiritual strength and flame energy. This was something they couldn't possibly achieve. Even the spectators were stunned. To have pill emperors refine 6th tier pills, were they intentionally making it difficult for them? Long Chen stealthily looked around. Fang Chang and Chai Liehua both had helpless expressions. The only woman amongst them, Duan Tianxiao, appeared quite calm. That was a bit unexpected to Long Chen. As for Huo Wufang, he icily looked over the others. When he saw Long San looking at him, he extended a hand, but then seeming to have thought of something, he quickly pulled it back. Haha. This action of Huo Wufang's caused laughter amongst the crowd. They recalled how Long San and Huo Wufang had fought silently before. Obviously, Huo Wufang had thought of provoking Long San, and then having thought of what had happened last time, he had immediately stopped. As pill emperors, having you refine 6th-tier pills truly is difficult. But don't forget, this is a competition amongst yourselves. We aren't requiring you to refine it to any level. As long as you can condense the pill, you'll have a chance of getting first place, even if you refine a garbage pill, said the Tower Ancestor. His words caused a wave of relief to spread amongst the competitors. That was very true. The thought going through their minds was, if I can't refine it, the others can't either. If everyone else failed, then perhaps a garbage pill really might take the first place. They all recovered from their despair. The Tower Ancestor smiled and then took out a large hourglass. He flipped it over, and the sand began to slowly trickle down. You have 72 hours to refine the overflowing sea-expanding pill. Let the finals of the Pill Emperor competition begin. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.